3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think we're going to have a light breakfast.
Yeah.
We're going to have to really kill it at lunch. And then dinner is just going to be
free for all.
But you have to wait till after the draft for dinner, but you can't really enjoy barbecue while the draft is going on.
No.
So that's sort of a catch-22.
I can't be like all sauce all over my face and my hands trying to use an elbow to like scroll up to see the latest pick or
well,
trade.
last year, though, it would have worked with the number 4 pick, though. Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, you've been waiting for that one, haven't you?
No, that dad joke just came out of nowhere.
You
handed it to me.
No. This is like when Ian Eagle sat on Jawbreaker for the whole year and then finally unleashed it.
Wait.
That's what he told us. And you've been sitting on this one for like at least 2
You were
weeks.
just talking about how you can't get sauce on your hands so you scroll down during the draft. I mean, come on, that was put in my lap. I had no choice but to spike it home.
Sure.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
We get something that resembles football tonight on our televisions. Hello, welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're hanging out. Rivalry Week continues today. We've got all that for you, our great sports and non-sports rivalries. But Perloff, I know you're fired up for a little Zach Wilson, Kellen Mond backup versus backup in the Hall of Fame game tonight.
I am. I often find the Hall of Fame game so depressing because you tune in, you're like, football's back, and then this is a semblance of this isn't even good.
Real,
this isn't even good preseason football because they're so new.
Early. Yeah.
But it does make you realize, you're walking along the street and maybe there's a dry leaf and it cracks underneath.
No.
You
I'm not ready for summer to be over yet. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
We've got a whole month of August to go.
I can't wait for football. I'm done with summer. And tonight is actual NFL football. It's coming. Forget it. Summer's over. It is pure football team.
It's kind of it's odd too. Not odd, but these two teams particularly. It's an interesting matchup to start the season with, or start the preseason, I guess, because you have the Jets, the most hyped team since last year's Broncos. No, the most hyped team we've had in a while. It's on 10 right now. We haven't even gotten a Hard Knocks episode yet, so we still have so far to go with this Aaron Rodgers experiment. And then you have a team in the Browns who just a year ago were in the crosshairs of everybody and every NFL fan when they controversially signed and traded for, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. In 2000, I believe it was 18, when Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. were in Cleveland, they were the Jets. Maybe a little, they were the hype team. Everybody, Baker Mayfield was on every national commercial, an incredibly polarizing player, and Odell Beckham came from New York and is one wildly popular player, and Cleveland was getting all that attention. Now, Cleveland's getting no attention, in my opinion. And because of that, I feel like there's no pressure on the Browns. They can, they have the most expensive quarterback in the NFL, and still people are not talking about them. And I don't feel like they have to win at a high level to pay off that expectation they created when they gave Deshaun Watson $230 million. I think teams like the Jets have kind of stolen all that hype, and therefore the pressure that comes with it.
Okay, the Jets are under a lot of pressure, so I'm not going to disagree with that argument. But to say that the Browns are under no pressure, that's insane. First of all, Kevin Stefanski's got to be feeling it. They go through head coaches like they go through toilet paper in Cleveland. So if he's not good, despite the fact that he won Coach of the Year not long ago, that means nothing in this league. He could be gone if they're off to a bad start, let alone have a bad season. So if I'm Stefanski, I don't feel good. And then if I'm Deshaun Watson and I, again, don't play well and I have this huge contract plus all the other off-the-field baggage that I've brought with me from Houston, this goes down as an all-timer even for the Browns. This goes down as an all-time mistake that just adds to the punchline-ness, if you will, of Cleveland. Just like if Aaron Rodgers falls on his face in New York and this becomes a disaster for the Jets, same old Browns. The stakes here are so incredibly high for both teams, but to say Cleveland's off the hook, no shot.
Well, I hate to say it, if Deshaun Watson has the worst season in the history of football, he's going to be there for 3 more seasons. This experiment, they got a long way to go down. There's no pressure this year. So what if Deshaun doesn't do well this year? They say, well, he's still rounding into shape. It's like, he's got 5 guaranteed seasons
still rounding into shape. He's in his mid-20s.
I don't think that this is the year. To make Browns, listen, you have to be really bad to make Browns history. I don't think Deshaun can do that this year because everyone knows he's going to be back for 3 more years. This is a 5-year project. This is year 2.
If Deshaun plays as poorly as he did last year when he came back after the 11-game suspension.
He was 3-3, so it wasn't the biggest disaster.
Okay, but when he was in Houston, there was talks of him maybe being a top 5 quarterback.
Right.
Okay. And you look at, first of all, not only would Stefanski get fired, by the way, that whole front office is out.
No. Andrew Berry? I don't think so.
Because even if it was Jimmy Haslam or whoever signed on the dotted line for that contract, everybody's out. Because everyone looks so silly because they had no good answers for Deshaun Watson's personal life and off the field, right? They didn't have great answers for, whether or not he's been changed. He's never owned up to anything. Even now to this day, training camp, and he was asked questions about it, and he's never owned up to it. He called it a media narrative. I don't know if all those women bringing lawsuits was a media narrative. He will now have this big contract, and then if he stinks, it's going to go down as one of the biggest blunders in the history of the NFL. Everyone's getting fired. Everyone.
I don't know. I mean, so you're saying 5 years?
I don't know if it'd be 5 years.
4 years from now.
Well, they're not going to, if he really stinks, they're not going to, even if they're paying him, he's not going to be the starting quarterback for 5 years if he's really bad. Now, I don't think he's going to be that bad where he's like, not playable.
Should be fine. Even last year, as terrible as he was, he had sat out football for basically 2.5 years, and he was bad, but he was passable. I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think there's any kind of time frame. There's no pressure. Like, Aaron Rodgers is turning 40. They got to make this work now. I don't feel like the Browns. No one's talking about the Browns and saying they better turn this around this year because they know that Watson is stuck there. They have no choice. I don't know why hire a new GM. He's not going to be able to make any moves. He has paid all his money to Deshaun Watson. Might as well wait it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I have seen, well, we've never seen anything like this before with a fully guaranteed contract for that amount of time. So I can't tell you there's a blueprint or a roadmap that someone else could follow or that the Browns could follow if Watson is really that bad. I don't know if he's going to be really that bad, but if he's just average and if he's middle of the pack, this is just disaster. And everyone's going to pile on Cleveland. And nobody knows that more than Browns fans, by the way. Because when you are used to being the punchline, you're waiting to become the punchline again. Ask Samter with the Jets. I'll tell you as a Bills fan, I'm waiting.
How about get shrapnel?
Because you're a Jets fan, and Jets fans always get shrapnel, just like Browns fans always get shrapnel. And it will snowball. It's quiet now with the Browns.
Dead quiet.
Now. Just wait. That's the thing about the Browns.
Yeah.
It's not controversial now. There's no drama now. Wait 5 minutes.
But
we'll find them.
They were pretty bad last year. Nobody cared. They had that incredible loss to your Jets, Samter. It was one of the worst losses in NFL history. Guess what? Nobody cared.
You want to know why?
Because they were waiting for Watson to get there.
They were waiting for Watson, and I think there was a little bit of the Watson fatigue because it was such a difficult story to talk about, the massage therapist and the things he was accused of. So it was such a difficult story to talk about. And I think that a lot of people outside of Cleveland were kind of relieved when it came to a conclusion that he was suspended for 11 games and sort of put them on the back burner. They're going to be off the back burner this year. And if they're bad, they're going to get criticized.
First of all, I think if Kevin Stefanski gets fired in week 5, I think we don't talk about it in the first 3 segments of the show. Nobody outside of Cleveland cares if Kevin Stefanski gets fired. I bet you he's in the bottom third of coaches that you'd even remember their name. And I bet you he could walk in this door right now and not a single person would know it was Kevin Stefanski.
I think people would know.
Kevin Stefanski?
Yeah.
In your picture Kevin Stefanski's head in your mind, right?
Yeah, well, he gets noticed because he's like a handsome guy, so people always talk about that.
Yeah. I think the Deshaun Watson stuff has put his face and his name on the radar.
First of all, he's not
Andrew Berry, same.
I don't think Stefanski's at it. You think he's at answer? He's at a LaFleur.
Okay, well, whatever. I mean, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm trying to give the guy a compliment. But here's the thing. That's not part of it. But yes, it would be a huge deal. And I believe he's Vegas odds for first coach fired. If
you just take any sports network like ESPN.
Yeah.
How often are they talking about the Browns? Never, never, ever. And the other thing, they have so many excuses. And they're in one of the hardest divisions, just like the Jets, but it's a really brutal division, the AFC North. Nobody is picking them to win that division. In fact, this is the take on the Browns. This is the most common. Whoa, I didn't realize I had that much talent there.
Yeah. Sleeping could be under the radar.
Because I haven't been paying attention. I think you nailed it. There was fatigue about Watson that everyone forgot, and nobody wants to turn their focus back on them. They're probably going to be, if they're 7-10, then it's going to be, that's disappointing. Well, Deshaun's still getting used to football. I think that would be the narrative.
That excuse is over, by the way.
Well, his receivers, they have issues. Amari Cooper has been in and out of the lineup, couldn't work out this summer. He doesn't have that much talent around him, skill position. Nick Chubb gets hurt by week 5 every year.
Okay, but there's other teams where the players get hurt, and we don't give them this kind of grace period. There's no more.
Yes, we do. We don't?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we didn't give Russ much grace period last year.
Everyone got hurt. Everyone's like, Russell Wilson sucks. He's not going to the Hall of Fame anymore. It's like,
that's a great example. Russell Wilson, he had so much pressure on him last year. Aaron Rodgers has so much pressure on him this year. Deshaun Watson, if he's terrible, I just don't think it'll be the same as these guys who are getting all the preseason hype.
Okay, well, I think there's also a part where, again, I think a lot of people think he's kind of creepy. And I know he was never charged with a felony, and I know that he settled all of his cases in civil court, so I'm being fair to him. But some of the details that came out were totally unseemly. So I can understand fans, media, whatever, naturally after we talked about it, kind of turn your back to them because why do we want to give Deshaun Watson any press, any pub, any praise or whatever, because we found out a little bit about this guy's personal life and it was pretty unseemly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's ironically that sort of takes the pressure off them too. You're right. No one's going to want to praise Deshaun Watson if he's great, and because of that, I think we're not going to get that fired up if he's bad.
Ooh, I mean, show bet. I mean, I don't know how we quantify this show bet,
okay.
But do we talk about the Browns? I think we're going to
who
if they're
gets more
bad.
attention if they're bad? Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers?
Well, who's more likely to have a bad season, do you think?
Answer this first.
They're both going to get attention.
No, come on.
Well, Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer who is coming, who has never met a microphone he doesn't like, and he gives everyone so much. So I'll give you Rodgers on this because it's the tail end.
What about Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott?
Well,
Dak Prescott times 1,000.
The Cowboys win every argument on who gets more attention.
Lamar
That's
Jackson or Deshaun Watson?
Now that could be even.
No way. Lamar, because he's got a new offense. Nobody cares about Deshaun Watson and the Browns right now. They are in no man's land, which is a great place to be for them because there's a good chance they're in that terrible division. I don't know.
You mean awesome division?
Yeah, I mean like terrible because they face terrible opponents. Like they're really good teams. Also, there's no Super Bowl odds. They're 14th in Super Bowl odds.
Wait,
Their
hold on though. You didn't answer my
games.
question. Who's more likely to have a bad season? If it's going to be Watson or Aaron Rodgers?
Definitely Watson.
See, but you're the person who wasn't sold on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets going to the Super Bowl like this is going to be a fairy tale.
I think they make the playoffs, so I think they're going to be pretty good. I think there's a chance that the Browns have a lot of talent, but these guys always get hurt. I feel like the Browns could have an injury-plagued season.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets players always get hurt, too.
Yeah, but they got this young crew around them. I don't know.
Brees Hall's coming off of an ACL.
But Garrett Wilson.
Their left or right tackle, whatever Mekhi Becton's going to play, he can never stay healthy.
Yeah, also, too, one thing about Rodgers this year, unlike Russ last year, he's got continuity on the offense because Hackett, with all his flaws, is still a West Coast guy. So I think Rodgers is set up a little bit more for success, where the Browns are just kind of thin up top, I think.
Really?
They have a lot of Pro Bowlers.
They are all been together now.
They have a lot of Pro Bowlers. I'm just saying they're a little thin. Chubb gets hurt every year. I just see some issues there. You don't at all? You love the Browns' talent?
I mean, I like the trade for Elijah Moore from the Jets, ironically. I don't know why the Jets couldn't figure out a way to use him. I thought he was a good player, and he was kind of labeled as like a steal when they got him in the second round, I believe, in the draft.
He wasn't even good enough to be on the Jets, and that's who they got?
Yeah, but I think there's something. I think that was the Jets bad. I don't know if that was the player or maybe an attitude issue. I have no idea. It just did not fit there. That's a change of scenery guy. I'd be more surprised if Deshaun Watson is bad. Watson's still also in his prime. I know Rodgers has had late MVPs, but Watson is still should be in his athletic prime, where Aaron Rodgers turns 40 in a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, I think the layoff with Deshaun Watson is a huge issue. I mean, you're talking about...
Oh, that's not a thing anymore.
No, I know, but everything he went through and everything,
self-inflicted.
That doesn't matter. I still think it's affecting his play. It's possibly going to affect his play. I mean, listen, I'm not saying overcome is the wrong word, but the guy has been through a lot, all his own fault. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he's the same person he was in Houston.
See? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, so how do we whittle this down? The question is what?
There's no pressure on the Browns. The Browns.
Is there pressure on the Browns?
Pressure on the Browns. There was 4 years ago when it was Baker Mayfield. Nobody's expecting anything out of them. Show me one Browns Super Bowl pick ever, and if they don't make the Super Bowl, we're like, well, it's another rebuilding year. I'm sorry. It's just the way they're going to be viewed.
I know 0-16. No one's making them to go. In 2017, no one ever picked them to go to the Super Bowl. That doesn't mean they don't have pressure. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, you're welcome to weigh in on the Browns Hall of Fame game tonight, Browns-Jets. Also, it is rivalry week. So today we tackle one sports rivalry and one non-sports rivalry. So today we're going with the greatest individual rivalry of all time, mano a mano. What's the female equivalent of that?
Mana a mana?
I don't think so.
No, hand-to-hand. Mano is a masculine word. So what's a body part that's feminine? No, like in the Spanish language.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can come up with a couple, but I probably shouldn't say them on the air.
I'm sorry. I know it's hand-to-hand and mano a mano, but doesn't it sound very masculine?
Well, because the English word is man, but you have two manos.
I do have two manos. Dos manos.
Yeah, so
I guess it's not. It doesn't sound like manly though. Do you ever use mano a mano to talk about two women?
no. Well, you could.
No, you could, but do we?
No, because man sounds like man, probably.
I think because we like Spanglished this thing a little bit.
Yeah, but it wouldn't make any sense to find two like Spanish words like.
All right. So anyway, individual rivalries.
Was this conversation dumber than the several? It's right up there.
Oh, how many is several for Joe
what
Burrow's
is several?
injury? We were really wondering. We still don't know.
Yeah.
How about mesa a mesa?
That's table to table.
Yes. No,
I like it.
table against him, unless it's Jose Mesa, former Indians and Phillies closer.
Or Mesa, Arizona, where I used to live.
I like that. If it's a woman, it's Mesa.
They're squared off, mesa a mesa. And if it's, like a chess match, that would make sense too.
Something like that. So we're going to do greatest individual rivalries of all time. We're also going to do, as our non-sports rivalry, greatest movie star rivalries of all time. Again, got a little Mesa right there.
We're going mesa to mesa on the Maggie and Perloff
There you
show.
go. Okay, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. By the way, we were just debating the pressure on the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets who played tonight at the Hall of Fame game. I had one more fact I should have thrown at you.
What's that?
Guess how many primetime games those high-profile Cleveland Browns get this year?
Oh, probably 0.
They get 2, but one of them is in the middle of the flex window in Week 17. So the Browns...
Right where they want them. No, you want to know why? It's because it's uncomfortable to talk about Watson. Super uncomfortable to talk about that guy.
I just think, too, which ironically gives them some cover. Like, nobody's talking about them. I think you could be right, but I think that nobody's expecting them to do anything this year, which is interesting because they have a lot of talented players. But I look at their Super Bowl odds; they're nothing special.
If Watson stinks, people are going to get on him.
But they could they'll get on him, but not like if Rodgers loses Week 1 to Buffalo, it's going to be like the sky fell. It's going to be incredible hype. It's going to be the number one story. It's all anyone's going to talk about.
Well, it's also Monday. It's also Monday night, so it's a standalone game.
It could be Sunday at 1. I think you're in denial of how big, if they lose that game, it's going to be. And by the way, same thing for Josh Allen and the Bills. It's going to be, oh no, everything is going wrong.
Yeah.
I think those teams are setting themselves up for a possible fall just because we're hyping them. I think the Browns can scoot under the radar.
I don't know if I agree. 855-212-4CBS. Ryan is in Alaska before we get to the great debate series. Ryan, how are you, sir?
I'm from Chugiak, Alaska.
Amazing.
Nice.
What's it like there today?
We're about 65 degrees and pretty pleasant overall. Pretty typical Alaska summer day. So.
Wait, I have a question for you because I just watched that really horrible movie about Alaska, the one with
Robin Williams and Al Pacino.
And where it's light all the time.
Yeah.
Is it like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Fairbanks' nickname is the land of the midnight sun. It's daylight. They have a midnight baseball game that they play in the summertime up here, and you can be out playing frisbee at 2:00 in the morning if you want.
How weird is that, though? I mean, I'm sorry to be interviewing here. You called in about Deshaun Watson, but like, how odd is it to get used to that?
Oh, it takes a while. I grew up in the Midwest, and it's the opposite in the wintertime where it's dark early and often, and in the summertime it's the polar opposite, no pun intended. And it's a really beautiful place to live. It's awesome.
Do you know our friend? We have a good buddy from Anchorage, Nate Thompson, former NHL player. Do you know Nate? He has a house in Anchorage.
You're from Alaska. Do you know Bill?
Yeah.
It's a very small town. We only have a population of like 750,000, but no, I do not know him.
Well, get to know him because he's a friend of Maggie and Perloff show, and he's a great dude.
Tell him we said hi. What do you want to talk about with Deshaun Watson, Ryan?
Well, yeah, I'll definitely name drop you guys when I look him up.
Yeah.
I kind of had two things. I'm not a real huge Watson fan just based off of the allegations and his whole settlement and everything. Find it a little creepy personally, but as far as the time away from the game, I kind of want to do a comparison with Le'Veon Bell when he sat out over his contract several years ago.
Yep.
And never was really the same. And like you get out of that routine of like working out with the team and that cohesiveness and your diet and you're doing more partying and whatever. And then I also wanted to just kind of do another comparison with when Michael Vick got into his ordeals.
Yep.
And, again, kind of a really deplorable act, but on a different level than what Watson did.
Sure.
But when he came back, he did have, a really good season, and a lot of people kind of embraced him because he owned up to what he did and, tried to, he was working with the Humane Society or PETA or something and trying to kind of make things right again. And, I think people really kind of cheered for him. And I don't really know if Watson would, even if he came out and had an MVP caliber season, if he would get that same warm embrace from the general football public.
Right. It's a great point. Thank you so much for making it. Enjoy the rest of the endless light in Alaska. It's be careful what you wish for. It's it's so nice and sunny today. It'll be sunny forever. But here's the thing. We were actually just having this conversation about Michael Vick with our boss on something totally different. And the thing about Vick is he lived his apology. I mean, the guy went to prison, came out, became a spokesperson for animal rights, and really it felt like genuinely realized what he had done wrong and lived his apology. I mean, Watson, whether that's because of legal purposes or whatever, has never owned up to anything when it comes to these civil cases.
You can't live your apology in his case. And I think
right, because you probably get... If he apologizes, that kind of admits that he did something wrong, and therefore it gives more credibility to the lawsuits.
And even beyond legal, I think the society's moral sort of stance, I don't think Deshaun Watson can live and say that what I did was unwanted. I don't think he ever can. I think Michael Vick is different. Because also, this isn't to excuse Vick at all. People kind of believe that Vick didn't know because of where he grew up. He did not know or view it. We view bullfighting as barbaric, and he just didn't know. Then he learned what Watson did. There's no wiggle room. There's no gray areas.
Yeah, right.
Not that Vick should have had gray areas. I hope people aren't taking that the wrong way.
I understand what you're saying.
Also, by the way, Vick took a long time. He came back, was a backup. He was sort of like a role player for the Eagles for a whole season. Then he started halfway through his next season, and he had Andy Reid, and he was able to get it going. It was the perfect place, perfect time. I don't know. Hopefully, for Browns fans,
was the opposite.
Yeah. Wrong place, wrong time.
Worst place, worst time.
Yeah, I don't know if the Browns are set up to create that environment for where Watson has a really easy turnkey success.
Yeah,
that's a question for the Browns. They have some talent, but how good is Stefanski? How good is that receiving core?
It should be better than Le'Veon. Now, Le'Veon, remember, so Le'Veon got to the Jets. Adam Gase was there, never wanted him, and their offensive line was terrible. And I remember having this conversation with a friend of mine who's a Steelers fan. Is now it's okay. Le'Veon doesn't even need a good offensive line because he's so shifty and talented, and what he would do behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, it was awesome. But it turns out when you have not Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback and not Antonio Brown, and you're going to the Jets again, punchline Jets, it's it was just really a slog.
And he went from something like 27 to 29 in running back years.
He was 27 when he was with the Jets. Same age as Watson now.
Yeah, well, 27 is the famous cliff for running backs is between 26 and 27. So I know that sounds crazy, but the numbers show that often running backs decline there.
Tough. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, let's get to greatest sports rivalry.
The Great Debate Series. Best sports rivalries.
Now, today is best individual sports rivalry. And so, would you like me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. The greatest individual sports rivalry of all time is Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. Now, you might say, Maggie, they both played on teams. No. Everyone knows that it was all about Magic and Larry going mesa, mano. Now, it started off in college, obviously, with Magic going to Michigan State and Larry originally going into Indiana, but then going to Indiana State. They meet, of course, in the championship game where Magic and the Spartans win. Magic is the MVP of the Final Four that year, but Larry is College Player of the Year. Then, of course, they go to the NBA, and where do they go? To the two most iconic franchises in the entire league, with Magic going to Los Angeles, Larry going to the Celtics. They met 3 times in the finals in 84, 85, and 87. Boston won the first one. The Lakers won the next 2. So you get Larry finishing as a 3-time champion, Magic as a 5-time champion. And there was a lot more to this. Not that they never feuded, though. Magic and Larry always had a very cordial relationship, although Larry did call losing to Magic in the championship game, quote, the one thing I'll never get over as long as I live. So they were very competitive. But the thing about the rivalry that the two of them never asked for, but kind of was put upon them, was obviously the racial element, where Larry is like the great white hope.
Larry Bird and Magic Johnson?
And then Magic was like, oh, well, he's like natural talent, and flashy. And it was these, racial stereotypes that were not true and that were really put upon both of these men that neither of them asked for nor wanted. Incredible, grew the league in a way that, was exponential.
Sure.
And I think that is the greatest individual rivalry of all time.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen the HBO documentary. They didn't know each other or get along at all. Not get along, and they did this Converse commercial together and started to become sneaky friends,
yeah.
Which is great. It makes it all better. The new HBO show written by our buddy Jeff Pearlman, Winning Time, is coming back. And I saw a commercial. It's all Bird Magic, 100% Bird Magic. Do you remember in the one where they could do the right thing when the guy's wearing the Bird jersey?
Yeah.
And it caused, talking about the racial background of that, it was obviously symbolic, which is why I think mine is a more important rivalry because of the symbolism, not to mention the sports aspect. Frazier Ali is a classic individual rivalry. So the biggest fight in the history of boxing was in 1971, undefeated Muhammad Ali versus undefeated Joe Frazier.
Yep.
Up until that point, I think I have this right, two undefeated heavyweight champions had not squared off because the belts were unified before that. But Muhammad Ali obviously had to go away because of his legal trouble with Vietnam. So they had this fight in Madison Square Garden, and the whole country took sides. Those on the left took Ali. Those on the right took Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier, of course, was a legend in my hometown of Philadelphia. I met him in 4th grade.
Wow.
No big deal. I got to feel his bicep, which sounds creepy now, but it was really cool.
Was he okay with it? Did you ask him permission?
Well, he got in front of the class, and he made a fist, and he goes, all right, everyone want to climb on my arm, and a bunch of kids just jumped up on his arm. And he was an unbelievably nice man.
That sounds
So Frazier and Ali had this back and forth. Ali moved to Philadelphia, actually lived, I've heard, 2 blocks from where I grew up in Penn, Pennsylvania. So there was so much going on behind the scenes because of Ali.
Yeah,
Ali
some of Ali's training camps were in the Poconos.
Yeah, Ali in Vietnam was boiling. So he became such a cultural touch point. I mean, picture like the Colin Kaepernick controversy times 100. That's what, in the movies, I saw the movie Ali, and I've seen other documentaries on this. It was just huge. When We Were Kings talked a lot about this. Anyway, so they had 3 fights. Muhammad Ali, Frazier 2, and then the Thrilla and Manila. What a great nicknames. And this is a time when boxing was the sport. The early 70s. The two of them just stood for completely different things. Joe Frazier, the workman-like guy, and Muhammad Ali, the poet laureate of sports.
Yep.
And the thing is, they had these great fights and just sort of brutalize each other, and that's what rivalries are all about. Now, I'm a big fan of the Bird Magic.
No,
rivalry.
I know, and I'm a big fan of the Ali Frazier. The one thing about Ali Frazier, which is, of course, an all-time incredible rivalry, but Ali also had rivalries with George Foreman.
Yeah.
He had rivalries with Sonny Liston. It's like not as much as Frazier, but...
Whoops, Sonny Liston.
Fan of Punch. I mean, I guess maybe more with Foreman. But it is the iconic, rivalry.
Yeah, I think.
And the 3 fights. And,
boxing is good for rivalries, too. We all love...
You need them.
We loved Hagler Hearns. Yeah. What's the one with Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran? Yeah. Boxing is just lends itself to it. Basketball is a team sport, Maggie. Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale and James Worthy had a little to do with this.
Don't bring Danny Ainge into my argument, okay? I don't want to hear about that. It was all about Magic. It was all about Larry. Let's go to Pete is in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, this is one that we did think about, Pete, but we didn't say it. What do you have?
Got to be John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg. That was one of the greatest sports rivalries I've ever seen.
McEnroe-Borg is a great one. Yes.
It was mesmerizing to watch those guys play each other.
Pete, you're right. McEnroe-Borg. But you know what? Here's what canceled it out for me is because I can give you 3 other tennis rivalries. I can give you Martina Navratilova and Chrissy Evert. I can give you Venus versus Serena is a a very interesting, more complicated rivalry because they're siblings. I can give you Federer and Nadal.
Yeah. But I don't know if Venus Serena is really a rivalry.
I can give you Agassi Sampras. There's no greater rivalry than sibling rivalry.
I would put Chrissy and Martinez right there, but I would put McEnroe Borg pretty high because of the contrast of styles. The brash, loud American versus the icy Swede. Is he Swedish? He's something Scandinavian. They were just such contrast in style. And the style was so cool back then. Bjorn Borg with those tracksuits. You could wear a tracksuit anywhere. You could wear that like Sergio Tacchini tracksuit to Club 54 after it, or Studio 54.
Studio 54 with the headband.
Dude.
Does our intern Brooke, have you ever heard of Studio 54? Has Brooke ever? Brooke is in college.
She said she's heard of it, but she doesn't know what it is.
Interesting. Yeah, Dexter, you've heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not that young.
Well, no, but Dexter, you're not old enough to have ever gone anywhere near Studio 54.
I haven't been anywhere near Studio 54.
No, me neither.
Studio 54 closed in like 1981.
That's before I was born.
Yeah. I was going to say, Studio 54. Have you guys heard of Danceteria or Mud Club?
Danceteria I've heard of.
Yeah. Limelight. That was the one that sort of was around in the 90s.
Yep.
I just read the book about the Beastie Boys, so I know all these clubs.
Sorry, got a little sidetracked there. All right.
Not really. When you talk about Bjorn Borg, like that was all Studio 54 stuff.
Not really.
Yeah, that's a great guy.
Imagine being in a tennis outfit, you just come from the U.S. Open, and now you're in Studio 54,
Venus
like disco dance.
Back in the 70s, I mean, listen, like Bjorn Borg was, he was the number one male attraction in sports. There's a great HBO documentary on him versus McEnroe.
Yeah.
These are all good. Yeah, see, individuals, is it my mind or they used to be better?
No, I think Federer and Nadal just happened. Now Djokovic came in and kind of took was a solid third candidate who ended up becoming winning more majors than both of them.
You know who killed the individual rivalry? It's your guy.
My guy?
LeBron James.
No, don't put that on LeBron James.
Because LeBron can't have rivals because he's secretly recruiting them all to his agency.
You want to know who killed him? Your guy, Michael Jordan. Because people became more loyalty to the shoe company than they became to teammates. Don't put that on LeBron. That's a Jordan thing.
But LeBron has to be friends with everybody because also it's his personality as well. Jordan hated everybody.
Yeah, but it was all about, hey, are you a Nike guy? Are you a Reebok guy? I guess Puma back in the day, Converse.
I'll give you that. I mean, Larry and Magic had a lot to do with that too. Okay. Yeah. But I feel like LeBron doesn't have any rivals. I feel like he's the face of the modern athlete where they're all partners and not rivals.
His rival is Michael Jordan. They just aren't playing against each other.
Well, you need two people to actually care about the rivalry. No, I know. Jordan did do the documentary, but he was scared of LeBron. I will give you that.
The NBA is like the only sport where, well, maybe a little baseball too, where the rivalry is like the current guys versus the past. It's not like the current guys together.
Yeah, that's because
baseball's all like that too.
That's because LeBron is like, he goes out of his way. He can't think of nice enough things to say about Steph Curry, who should be his rival. Back in the 70s, they would kill each other, and now they're like singing each other's praises all day and like having dueling documentaries. Forget it. Anyway,
Brian's in the chat. Sampras Agassi too, and a little Nicholas Palmer. We didn't put Tiger and Phil on our list.
I would give you Nicholas Palmer is way up there.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Not that
our guy, Connor wrote a book about them.
Oh, did he really?
Mm-hmm. Arnie and Jack. Yep. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. What did we miss? Greatest individual rivalry of all time. I have Magic and Larry. Perloff has Frazier Ali. We'll get more from you in moments. Coming up, Jerry Jones, the latest on Dak Prescott. This is just not helping at this point. We'll get to that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Dexter Henry.
Sports Flash.
All right, guys, we've got some preseason football. The Hall of Fame game goes down tonight. The Jets and Browns in Canton, Ohio. Full preseason action begins next week. Zach Wilson and Kellen Mond are starting under center for New York and Cleveland, respectively. NBA news. The Canadian cities of Montreal and Vancouver will host one preseason game each ahead of the 2023-2024 NBA regular season, the league said Thursday. Both games are part of the NBA Canada Series. In college football, another major conference is back in the fray when it comes to realignment in the sport. According to ESPN, Big Ten presidents and chancellors have officially authorized Commissioner Tony Petitti to explore possible expansion opportunities. Petitti has been given permission to scout potential new members and, in particular, to get more information on Oregon and Washington. as possible future Big Ten additions. Afternoon baseball scoreboard, we've got a couple games going on. The White Sox trailed the Rangers 4-3, top of the 6th inning. The Royals 6-0 lead over the Mets, bottom of the 7th inning. And the Orioles with a 1-0 lead over the Blue Jays. That one in the top of the 2nd. Earlier, the Phillies doubled up the Marlins 4-2. And at the Women's World Cup, Germany fails to advance out of the group stage at the tournament. First time ever that they didn't get past the group stage at the tournament. I'm Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Ever missed the show? No problem. Just download the Maggie and Perloff podcast and give us a 5-star review when you're there. We'd appreciate it. Also, the free Odyssey app, easy way to find us and to listen to us. It's crystal clear. You can watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Sirius XM channel 158. Bottom line, no excuses not to see the show. So we're doing Rivalry Week here on the Maggie and Perloff show, and that is greatest individual rivalry today. And I went with Magic versus Larry.
Mm-hmm. And I went with Frazier Ali, Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali.
Here's one we did not go with, but we could have. Nick is in Portland, Oregon. He's got a real good one. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I got a good one, and it's fairly, dwindled off in the last couple of years, but Messi versus Ronaldo.
It's great.
Over a decade of dominance, they played in the same league, played against two of the biggest clubs in the world. They didn't really hate each other as much, but they more hated the other teams they played for. They were always fighting for first and second place for over a decade for the Ballon d'Or, with someone coming in here and there, getting third place. It's like LeBron versus Jordan fans. When it comes to the fans of these two players, it's like times 10. The fans hate each other.
And everyone's got their guy.
The other one.
Yeah,
exactly. I appreciate both of them, but when it comes to the fans, it's insane. Their influence on the game in terms of worldwide, like the followers they have. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be repeated for maybe ever in the history of soccer.
Nick, it's a great one. Thank you so much for making the phone call. And obviously, Messi scores twice again last night for Inter Miami. Starting to get some major FOMO that I don't have the MLS package on Apple Plus. I swear this morning, guys, I started looking up tickets for when Messi and Inter Miami are coming to New York.
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
I know, but the tickets are $1 See, that's the thing. It's like, remember you were talking about Messi, and you're like, there's no way he can keep this up with the goal scoring.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Is he?
2 more goals last night.
The more you watch it, the more you realize that he's just a man amongst boys. And he's just going to keep scoring because he's just that much better than everybody.
What's your favorite part of the Messi-Ronaldo rivalry, Stu?
It's funny. I guess for me, I actually used to think Ronaldo was better. I kind of preferred the way he played and just, the power that he brought to the game, which was a little different than Messi. And then just the last 2 or 3 years for me, I think I've definitely turned a total 180 to a Messi person.
Well, and he won the World Cup.
Yeah.
And then it was
even before that, I kind of started to turn. But yeah, just really turned for me.
Isn't soccer, the funny thing about soccer, though, and I understand, you pick sides in this, but as far as, that's a sport with incredibly, way different, next-level rivalries, have armed guards between the fans.
Maradona and Pele, Brazil, Argentina back in the day.
Yeah, somebody, by the way, someone unsolicited gave me rivalry feedback. They said the River Plate versus the Boca Juniors, which was Maradona's team. I've been in Argentina. He's like, that is a different kind of rivalry than you will ever see in America. And I guess there's 2 teams in Glasgow. There's one that's Catholic and one that's Protestant. That have the oldest rivalry.
You got Celtic and Rangers, which is Irish, and that's
Scottish, I believe.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that's just, the intensity goes way, way, way beyond sports. It's like borderline wars.
I mean, more than Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. I doubt it. No, I'm just kidding. That is not one that came up. Peyton versus Brady.
It shouldn't.
I agree with you. Even though I'm picking guys, I pick Magic and Larry, and they're part of teams. Yeah. And so you could say, Maggie, what are you doing? It's supposed to be individual. But I think for Peyton and Brady, it's like, yes, they went head to head, but they literally were not on the field at the same time.
You have to physically be able to touch each other. That's why I won't do Jordan LeBron as any kind of rivalry. They never played against each other.
Speaking of Jordan, what about Jordan Isaiah? That seems to have escalated over the past couple of years.
That's feud.
But that's rivalry also.
It's rivalry for basketball.
The Pistons, the Bulls were like the Pistons were the Bulls nemesis. So like it was a rivalry, and now it's a feud. So there was that part of it.
And it was a feud in '92, and Isaiah thought that Jordan blocked him from the Dream Team.
And then there's also, of course, the inter-team Kobe Shaq, which obviously, over the years they've kind of reconciled before Kobe and everything. But during that time, I mean, those guys hate each other.
Yeah, the inter-team rivalry we did not do. Belichick, Brady?
There's a lot of those, probably. I think there's got to be some great
Tony Parker, Brett Barry. Sorry,
you know which ones would be great? The NASCAR ones and the old stock car racing ones, because you could actually like crash into one of your rivals.
And the F1 now.
Yeah, well, no, F1.
Well,
those little
not
pretty
like
boys.
Dale Earnhardt.
No. Like Richard Petty was like they were like chasing each other into the parking lot, and NASCAR guys fight all the time. Those I think it needs to be individual sport to really get that hatred and that individual one-on-one. If anybody could call it with NASCAR rivalries, because I know Dale Earnhardt had serious enemies, Jeff Gordon famously, but if you have somebody you hate and you're driving at 150 miles an hour, you can do a lot of damage.
Oh, no kidding. I know. I mean, that's just me on the weekends. No,
I feel like a lot of NASCAR fights is a guy punching another guy with a helmet on.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
That's like football fights.
Usually a Bush brother.
Remember when Brian Cushing headbutted somebody and he didn't have a helmet on and the other person did? Like, that's not smart.
but not surprising.
But if you know Brian Cushing, that's about right. Okay. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We have some Jerry Jones sound, but I want to wait because we're up against the top of the hour now. And instead, this is one that apparently happened about a month ago, but it's just getting an update now. If you are wondering just how odd Jim Irsay is, well, it turns out he's doing something, Perloff, very noble.
Okay.
But just a little outside the box. Jim Irsay is trying to save a whale.
After seeing Avatar 2 and James Cameron and his wife are so much involved in that, Joaquin Phoenix and I have been talking, and, we picked, really Ryan White, who's a great documentarian who just has finished Pamela Anderson. Some people may have seen his film. It was going nowhere, and I came in because it didn't have the money.
Jim Irsay is financing a project that is taking an orca whale from Miami to the Pacific Ocean. That audio courtesy of the Pat McAfee Show.
And they're doing a documentary on it?
Apparently, they're also doing a documentary on it because
I don't understand.
If cameras aren't following, then I guess it never happened.
What's the challenge? Why is it hard to transport an orca whale? How do you get orca whales to SeaWorld?
I think he's already sunk,
transport a whale.
He's already sunk $20 million into the project.
You want to toss in the backseat of your sedan?
How do you think that? How do you think that orca got?
Yeah.
How do you think the orcas get to San Antonio SeaWorld?
I think that they breed them.
You mean they take No, they don't. They take a baby orca and grow it into a big one at SeaWorld? No.
That suddenly sounded really stupid when it came out of my mouth. It sounded smart in my head.
The size in Perloff's hand.
Danny Kanell next on FSU.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh boy, there's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
See, I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that you were giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days.
Oh no!
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going.
This is all the
This
sugar.
is going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe stand up.
Why don't we
maybe just start running out of the office.
Honestly.
Well,
Real talk here,
that was just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Very busy day here on this Thursday. It's Rivalry Week here on the Maggie and Perloff Show. Today we're doing greatest individual sports rivalry. And for our non-sports rivalry, greatest movie star rivalry of all time. We've already done individual rivalry. I have Magic and Larry. Perloff, you have?
Fraser Ali.
We will reveal our movie star rivalries a little bit later on, but the world doesn't stop for us, Perloff. college football going through what could be another seismic shift when it comes to realignment. And now FSU is back in the mix. So for that, we turn to one of their former quarterbacks, now a football analyst on CBS Sports HQ, also Cover 3 Pod, which we're big fans of. Danny Kanell, good enough to join the show. Hey, Danny, how are you?
What's up, Maggie? Andrew, how you guys doing? It is definitely crazy times in college football. I mean, the amount of change we've seen in the last 3 years with alignment, like conference realignment, NIL, and transfer portal freedom of movement, like we've crammed about 100 years of stuff into 3, and it's wild.
Wait, I just want to say, first of all, I'm glad when we said football, you knew we didn't mean soccer, because I see you're wearing an Inter Miami thing.
Yeah.
I saw your Twitter feed last night. You clearly got this soccer bug with Messi in town. Is that just out of control?
Yeah, well, Andrew, I'm a huge soccer guy. You know,
you are, for real, even before this?
No, I'm not. I am being as sarcastic as I could possibly be. It's like I am your every 4 years, like you break out the red, white, and blue, and you root for the World Cup. That is the extent of my soccer. But it's funny because, you know, I live in South Florida. Messi signed up to play for Inter Miami. Their stadium is less than a quarter mile from the CBS Sports HQ studios. So it's close. My daughter's 11. She plays football. She plays soccer. So I was like, I got to take her. All she talks about is Messi. So I look up tickets, I get them, and I go. And I'm kind of like, I'm doing it for a daddy-daughter event, but I'm also a sports fan. So I'm kind of like curious. And I know Messi's the GOAT. So I'm like, I want to see what it's all about. So I go, and the night starts off horrifically. It's like, first of all, they changed the start of the kick from 7 to 8. So they delayed, like, just because they wanted to get a primetime slot. Then there's a torrential downpour. The game doesn't start till 9:35. My daughter goes to bed at 9:30. So, like, past her bedtime. So I'm like, oh, soccer. I hate soccer. And then 7 minutes into the game, Messi does a Messi thing, and he has this unbelievably gorgeous goal where he takes it off his chest, and before it hits the ground, he knocks it in with his foot. I looked at my daughter, and we were like, oh, my gosh, did we just see that? And it made all those stresses go away. And the other thing that kind of made sense for me, too, is like, oh, I get it. Because there's a lot of, how much money he's making with the Apple TV deal. We left at halftime because we were, it was late. So we left at halftime. My daughter's like, can we watch the second half? And I said, sure. So I pull up Apple TV, and there's a red button that says watch live. And then it says subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and she looked at me, and she's like, please. And I was like, all right. So it makes so much more sense for me, the deal that they have in place with his, compensation being tied to Apple TV. He's the type of guy that'll make people draw, and it was spectacular.
Danny Kanell, in for a penny, in for a pound on Lionel Messi. Okay, well, that's great, fun, and I'm glad you guys had a good time last night. We did not put Messi and Ronaldo as our top individual sports rivalry. We're getting finger wags about that. But back to the football stuff in college football, because you mentioned almost 100 years of change has been packed into 3 years here. It's a great way to put it. But why we wanted to talk to you specifically, not just about all of college football, but because of FSU. Now, this is a program near and dear to your heart, and I can't understand it, Danny. I'm hoping you can explain it, because I get it if FSU is upset they're not making enough money, or, should be making more money, right, off of their TV deal. But they're locked in, as far as I can tell, with the ACC network. So how credible would any threat be to leave the ACC?
Maggie, they are locked in till 2036. That is a long, long way down the road. And that is why I am not a believer that you're going to see any major shakeup from Florida State's perspective this season. There is a whole lot of saber rattling going on right now. And I think that is coming out of Florida State's camp, because they've made it no secret. We can't survive until 2036 competing against the likes of Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, Michigan, like the teams in the SEC and Big Ten, who have their TV deals with Fox and with ESPN are basically double the revenues that for their schools individually are getting double the revenues which Florida State is. So that gap, which is manageable right now, when the new TV deal kicks in, it's going to be $30 or $40 million difference annually for Florida State and those schools, and every ACC school, and those schools in the Big Ten and SEC. And in this changing landscape, when you consider how much we're paying coaches, how much we're probably going to be playing players sooner rather than later, Florida State now is having to go to their boosters, and every school is, and say, hey, we need to start this collective. We want to give our coach a raise. He had a good season. Mike Norvell just got a raise. Down the road, those Big Ten and SEC schools, they're going to be able to draw on those $30 or $40 million and say, all right, yeah, sure, we'll give our coach a raise. We'll go ahead and start. We'll fund our players, our player pool. Florida State has to continually go to their boosters. So I think they are terrified of booster fatigue, of having to keep up with the Joneses while they're spending TV money. Florida State will be spending, I guess, our own money going to the boosters to continually ask them to keep up. And it's not sustainable over the long term.
So how is this going to work then? Because I'm seeing all this conference realignment. It seems like schools are finding ways to get out of these, these long-term deals. I don't know. Florida State and these other, and Clemson too, I imagine, like they're going to find a way, aren't they? And why do you say it can't be soon?
So the other ones, no one has had a deal as long as this, right? And
okay.
Remember Oklahoma, Texas? We heard about that 2 years ago, that they were going to leave. They didn't leave right away because it was cost prohibitive. The number would have been astronomical. So they stayed in the Big 12. I think it will be 4 years that they stayed in before they actually left. So now next year they're finally leaving. USC, UCLA, they announced before their Pac-12 deal was up, but they're playing it out, and then they're going to join the Big Ten after that TV contract is expired. So all these other, and all this movement, Pac-12, movement, Oregon, Washington, we've actually seen Colorado go. I think we're going to see Arizona follow suit today. Like that'll get confirmed, and there's going to be more movement. The Pac-12, their TV deal is expiring in a year, so they can get out easily. Mm-hmm. The ACC is the only one who has this incredibly restrictive. Now, I talked to Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, last week at ACC Media Days, and he sees it as a sign of strength because we can't leave. Like, yeah, you could want our teams in Clemson and Florida State, Miami. Those are good brands, but you can't have them. The bad news is, like, when you're forced to stay there, which is what it feels like for the top tier programs in the ACC, is that a healthy environment? Is that what you want? And again, all those teams are struggling with that disparity in revenue to try to stay relevant, to try to stay competitive on the college football landscape nationally.
Danny Kanell is our guest.
But Andrew,
yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Maggie, but to Andrew's point, so there is a lot of speculation that Florida State could potentially just say, we know this TV, this media, and again, Jim Phillips feels like it's pretty ironclad, the TV deal. Florida State and every school has had attorneys sifting through this TV deal, for hours on hours. I'm sure the attorneys are making massive boatloads of money because of it. They might say, you know what? We're going to try to sue. We're going to try to fight our way out of this. I don't think anybody wants to do that, and that's why I don't think anything happens this year. But in a year, 2 years, Florida State might just say, you know what? We're not seeing any change. We're going to fight this thing, and we'll just suck it up, and we'll fight this legal battle. That's unfortunately where it might come to. I don't think it gets there this year, though.
Although, think about it, would it be like Florida State, Miami, Clemson all band together and sue the ACC to try to leave?
Correct.
That's interesting. Great. More lawyers. That's what we always love around our sports, but we understand it. Danny Kanell is joining us, former FSU quarterback, of course, CBS Sports HQ analyst, former NFL quarterback too. Danny, I'm not going to shortchange you. So we're on in ACC country. We're also on in Pac-12 country. I can't even call it the Pac-12 anymore. There's not even close to 12 teams. Anyway, Oregon and Washington feel like the last two. No disrespect to Cal and Stanford, no disrespect to the Arizonas, but Washington and Oregon are teams that want to be competing for national championships, want to be in the conversation. What do they do now, Danny, as it looks like the Pac-12 is not so slowly unraveling?
Yeah, and Maggie, this all stinks. Like, for the college football traditionalist, a fan of, regional play, regional rivalries, regional styles of play. The Pac-12 has been one of the pillars of college football with the traditions that are in the history of college football, and now they're just evaporated. They're gone, like within the scope of 2 years. Because I agree with you. I think this is the death nail of the Pac-12 is when, and I do think it's a when with Oregon, Washington, because once Colorado and Arizona leave, and if, George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12, presented a TV deal that was less than inspiring, we'll say, for the Pac-12 teams to stay, Oregon, Washington's like, we tried, we wanted to make this work, but financially, we can't afford to play and compete with this deficit. It's like they have the option that Florida State, Clemson, and Miami do not. Like, they have the option, potentially, it feels like it, to go to the Big Ten. And the Big Ten now is pretty much, there's a very, reputable reporters out there that are saying, hey, we've done our due diligence. We're looking at the finances. We think we can make this work. It does feel almost inevitable that Oregon and Washington are going to go to the Big Ten, which positions ourselves where we're going to a direction where I think we're eventually going to head to. We're getting really close to 20 teams. I mean, it'll be 18. If they add Cal Stanford, it's 20. But everyone kind of assumes there's going to be a landscape where we have super conferences, maybe two, but the Big 12 deserves some credit because maybe they survive as a Big 3. And then you've got these massive powerhouse conferences with 20 teams and maybe even 20 plus down the road, another 5-10 years. And that's kind of where everybody has expected this thing to go. And with Oregon, Washington appearing like they're going to the Big Ten too, feels like that is inevitable down the road.
Danny, I got to ask you at least one football question, one actual football question.
Do it.
All right. You're not going to like this one. Who is the best quarterback in the ACC?
All right. Now, I am not a homer. I will root for Florida State until I am, I will wear my garnet gold. I will go out there and root for my team. And I love Jordan Travis. He's awesome. He's going to have a ton of weapons around him this year. Drake May at Carolina is special, and there's a reason why he's in the conversation with Caleb Williams at USC as the potential number 1 overall pick next year in the draft. In his first year starting, I remember I was watching him play his second game of the year. It was against App State in a game they almost lost. I think it was 64-62. And I was watching like the All-22, and I'm watching his presence. I'm watching his feel. I'm watching him read out things. I'm just saying, who is this kid? Like, he is phenomenal. And then he takes off, and I was like, okay, was that a flash in the pan or was that legit? He continued to develop and get better and better throughout the back portion of the season. He is a phenomenal talent at quarterback, and he comes from an insanely athletic family. His brother, won a national championship for the basketball team. His dad played quarterback at Carolina. He's got another, his brother that he lives with in Chapel Hill is a walk-on basketball player. And then he's got another brother who's a baseball player at Florida. Like, it's insane, the athleticism coming out of this family. But I think that all kind of speaks to how naturally gifted he is. He's incredible. Now, who's going to have the better record? I think Jordan Travis will have the better record at the end of the season, but the better quarterback is Drake May.
Danny, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. Danny Kanell, CBS Sports HQ, and a football analyst. Thanks so much for the time, Danny.
Yeah, thanks, Danny.
You got it, Maggie. Great catching up with you guys.
Appreciate it. Danny Kanell. There you go. Drake May, the May family, more or less athletic than the Zellers?
Oh, yeah. Well, Luke had that beard, which made him look less athletic. But I think Drake is going to take this
the chin strap.
Yeah, I think Drake's going to take this way past anywhere where the Zellers have been. Let's not shortchange the Plumleys, though.
Yeah, Plumleys, the Zellers. I mean, we got...
Yeah, there's got to be a couple other... Oh, the Lopez brothers,
yeah.
Centers.
Matthews.
God, I hate families like that where everybody is like 4 pro-level athletes. So annoying.
855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Okay, so you got a lot there, which is, the FSU thing. I know we've got a lot of ACC fans in our audience, but I think this is all bark here with not a lot of bite. And I know I've been wrong before because I thought, oh, you're in an ironclad contract. There's no way you can get out. And I've been proven wrong on that. But I don't see, I don't think they want to sue to get out either. Suing means discovery. And I don't know if anyone wants lawyers being able to poke around.
Yeah, I think they do. I think these schools are going to get together and say, hey, we got to look at this contract. Because if you're, as Danny mentioned, if you go to 20 in the Big Ten, the SEC is going to have to counter.
Yeah.
So you're going to have two. And where's the SEC going to go? The first place they go is the ACC.
Try to rate it.
I feel like money can win out. If these schools would make a lot of money, everybody would make money. The little small thing. Contracts, Maggie, what do they mean in these days?
Yeah, I know. This day and age, like records are made to be broken. Contracts are made to be broken. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Also, Mike, not often that everything hinges on Arizona. Like, what is Arizona and Arizona State going to do with Utah? And that could shake up and be another domino in all this crazy conference realignment. Okay, coming up, we're doing Rivalry Week here on the show. We already did our greatest individual sports rivalries of all time. I say Magic Larry. Perloff says Ali Frazier. Coming up next, the greatest movie star rivalry of all time. Oh, this one gets nasty. Get to that in just a moment. Maggie, Perloff, and you, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, hanging out with you. Hello. This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Proudly brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare? Want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Well, I'm sure they're going to be delighted to be associated with our rivalry week. We are doing greatest individual sports rivalry of all time and also greatest movie star rivalry of all time.
Yes.
Now, sports was actually kind of easy for me on this one. I did Magic and Larry.
Yeah, I mean, it's iconic. I did Fraser Ali, same thing. I mean,
it was kind of like a gut thing. Like, what's the first thing that came to my gut? Yeah.
Those are two names where you link them together. You say Magic, Larry, it just comes out. You say Fraser, Ali, it just comes out. So I think those are really some of the ultimate rivalries.
Now, this one, movie star rivalry, gonna admit this one was a little bit tougher. Let's play the music.
The Great Debate Series. Best Rivalries.
I'm going to be honest, this one was a little tougher. Greatest movie star rivalry, Perloff. And would you like to go first or like me to go first? I can tell you the inspiration for... I was struggling on this one.
Yeah, you go first.
I was struggling big time. And then I'm going to say it wasn't divine intervention, but for some reason this week, out of nowhere, I decided to watch the documentary about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm going to tell you guys, that's pretty out of my wheelhouse. I never would have watched this, but for some reason, the universe made me click on this on Netflix. It's excellent. I've been through 2 out of the 3 episodes. And this is where I learned of the blood feud that exists between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Here's how Stallone sees it.
Well, we were very competitive. Yeah, I think hate's a good word. Did you ever hate somebody so much you go, I got to get to the gym. I got to, and, you know, a musician go, oh, I hate this guy. I'm going to blow him away next audition. No, I really respect this guy. I think he's brilliant. What he's done, what he's accomplished, he's had 3 different careers.
Oh, he's great.
But I want to strangle him. We want to strangle him.
There you go. This is a real rivalry that I didn't know about, Perloff, because I was born in the 80s. So I've got to enjoy all the crazy action movies from the 80s and early 90s. But I missed it in real time, if you will. So I didn't know there was this crazy rivalry between these two. They have been rivals for decades.
Yeah, I mean, when you said blood rivalry, there were so many puns I wanted to talk about here.
Right.
Do you mean the first blood rivalry?
Yes.
Fake blood rivalry?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were, you know, you look back at those movies and they could never get, I don't think they would get what's the word? Greenlit today?
Greenlit, yeah.
Because they were just like, all right, here's the plot. You're going to cut your sleeves off and kill 600 people. Yeah, I guess it'd be John Wick now.
Yeah.
But they were crazy. I grew up on those movies, and, you know, Commando, I must have seen 1,000 times.
Well, that's where Stallone says that one of the rivalries started because he did Rambo.
Yeah.
And then Schwarzenegger did Commando.
Well, I don't think they were that similar, by the way. Rambo was like a searing political critique. Commander was get to the chopper and just kill people. There's no next level at anything Schwarzenegger was doing.
So, okay, I'm going to put this out there, and I wonder who agrees with me. Now, Sylvester Stallone has all the Rocky movies that are like interspersed through like the 80s, 90s. I know, I apologize, Sly. But this is quite a run here from Schwarzenegger, okay? You have Terminators in 84. But then if we start in 1988, he does Twins, Total Recall, Kindergarten Cop, Terminator 2, and True Lies, all in like a 5 or 6 year span.
And what range? Comedy, action, sci-fi, all of it.
That's like a pretty solid run. Now, I know Sylvester Stallone,
Not
because
all
every couple years he's getting a Rocky in there, so it's like, all right, then another iconic movie.
Yeah,
That's a pretty darn good run from Schwarzenegger.
Twins, Kindergarten. I mean,
Twins is awesome. Ivan Reitman directed that. Twins is hilarious.
It's okay.
It's so
I mean,
heartwarming.
Kindergarten Cop.
It's not a tumor.
It's so memorable.
Yeah, but I mean, this is not. I don't know. That's not the most iconic run I've ever heard of.
It's not that you've ever heard of him. I'm just saying it's a hell of a run.
Stallone had some real crap, like Judge Dredd. Remember that movie?
Yeah, well, that one wasn't a great one, but I mean,
Demolition Man was pretty good.
So
that one wasn't. Demolition Man was not good.
Demolition Man's awesome.
Demolition
Man in the future, except for the seashell.
Sylvester Stallone. That's a Sylvester Stallone. No.
Yeah.
Demolition
Man, Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Forecasted a lot of things, by the way, that were going to happen in the future, like everyone's
Rob Schneider's in it. I think,
love of Taco Bell. Stallone, I don't think ever had a run like Schwarzenegger had a run. It was a little more spread out. Like Demolition Man is 93, where like Rocky 4 was 85. I guess you have Tango and Cash in there. Anyway, Sylvester Stallone versus Arnold Schwarzenegger, greatest movie star rivalry of all time. Now your turn.
Okay, this is way different. This is on the comedy front. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase were two iconic stars of Saturday Night Live. Chevy Chase, of course, was the first star the show ever had when it came out in the 70s. He left. Bill Murray came in and took over sort of the Chevy role. Chevy? They hated each other more than anyone has ever hated each other. Now, as I've been reading, everybody hated Chevy Chase. He was completely egomaniac and a jerk. But him and Bill Murray particularly had it out. There are a couple famous stories of them arguing on the set of Saturday Night Live, which Chevy would come back, and they were both in Caddyshack but could not be together.
They have one scene together, right?
Yes.
But they shot, I believe, after because they realized they weren't in a scene together.
Yeah, it was a whole mess. But so there's a story, too, that they got in a fist fight. I believe we have some sound. Mike, this is Chevy telling the story to Howard Stern. Okay, let's go.
I was probably a little full of myself after a year of fame or whatever. I think that Billy probably wanted to knock me down a couple of rungs, you know? He got me really pissed. I finally went to his dressing room just before the show and said, and opened the door and said, if you say something like that again, I'm going to, whatever. Billy jumped up and charged me at the door. I was ready to level him, and he was probably ready to scratch me up.
Wow.
Almost came to blows.
There's a couple lines. They had some very public fights. One time on set, I think it was on Saturday Night Live when Chase was guest hosting, right before something, he yelled at Chevy, "You're a medium talent." And for some reason, everybody heard it and it stuck. There was a couple things. I guess Bill Murray made fun of his divorce, and Chevy made fun of Bill Murray's complexion. And there's all these stories going back and forth that lasted a long time. Now, to me, the only thing that lessens this rivalry is Bill Murray took off. There is no doubt. I mean, listen, he became sort of, for decades, the top of the comedy world where Chevy disappeared. So, obviously, Bill Murray won this one. I think is the more popular person now. But people don't realize Chevy Chase was a gigantic deal in the 80s, 70s and 80s. But Bill Murray eventually had the last laugh.
Yeah, I mean, crazy rivalry, right? Like, crazy feud. The fact that they really despise each other so much. Does Chevy Chase slam dunk win it over Murray? Probably. But
no, Murray slam dunk.
Murray slam dunk win it over Chevy Chase? Probably. But I mean, Chevy Chase and all those vacation movies. I mean, he got a whole. I know.
Your love of comedy sequels is unbelievable. No. I mean, but when did Chevy Chase sort of kind of disappeared a long time ago?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the.
What's the
last
good movie he's been in?
Yeah, I mean, you're catching me on that one. Whereas Bill Murray, especially with the Wes Anderson movies,
Spies Like Us.
Yeah, that was like 1986.
was that 86?
Something like that. Yeah, great movie though.
So he was in Community, which was a good show, but he couldn't even hang around there because they disliked him so much, right?
Spies Like Us was actually 85. It was before the Three Amigos.
Three Amigos. Now that's a classic.
I feel like Chevy Chase has more like good movies, but when I think of like who's funnier and who's better, I like Bill Murray. Like his best movies, Groundhog Day. But outside of that, like where is he like the star of a great movie?
Stripes.
What about Bob?
A little movie called Ghostbusters, only a #1 comedy in history. What are you talking
Lost
about?
in Translation is incredible.
Well, so
very different.
So he's become as far as like a serious actor, great serious actor.
Yeah, but I think
all those Wes Anderson movies, he's fantastic.
But you can't say the Ghostbusters Stripes run, and he was 100% the star of both those movies.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen Stripes. I wasn't old enough to see Stripes to really appreciate it, so I don't.
How about
I don't know
Scrooged?
That's a good one.
Absolutely the lead in Scrooged.
I don't think we should really be talking about comedy movies with someone who's not seen Stripes. I mean, I know it's an old movie, but
you've never seen? You said you haven't seen it in a while.
No, I saw it when I was young, and I was too young to really understand.
Here's the thing about Stripes. Stripes is an awesome movie. They could probably have shortened the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, they tacked on this ridiculous plot, but that was part of the charm of the movie. Stripes is, I think, everyone, my generation has a Mount Rushmore. Stripes, Caddyshack.
But they're both in Caddyshack, though.
You put Stripes in your Mount Rushmore?
Stripes
I'll have to
probably
go
the
back
number
and
one.
Watch it.
Probably the #1 comedy of all time.
Blazing Saddles, #1 comedy of all time.
Stripes is just all of them at the heights of their power. John Candy, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Ivan Reitman.
Wait, I don't want to go to best comedy of all time, but just a few others for Bill Murray. I mean, Kingpin. He's so good as the opposite Woody
Harrelson.
Harrelson.
He's not the star. He's in a lot of good movies, but as far as being the star, but I walk it back. You've named enough great movies. Like Scrooge is one of those that you just can't forget. Every holiday season, it's just so good.
Yeah. Although I think Chevy Chase, honestly, though, has the better holiday movie because I love Christmas Vacation.
And just not any of the vacations, but regular Vacation was fantastic.
Yeah, the original. European Vacation, underrated.
Yeah.
Vegas Vacation, I could do without.
Fletch Lives, I could do without. The original Fletch, though, that's maybe in my Mount Rushmore of comedies.
Oh, man. I'm just going to shut up.
Perloff's got an opinion.
Maggie with her comedy sequel takes.
You don't think Christmas Vacation is a good
Christmas
movie?
Vacation is good, just in general. European Vacation is underrated. I just honestly, if we lost
hey,
any...
Kids Big Ben. I mean, it's got iconic lines.
They could even get Michael Anthony Alda to come back for the movie.
Well,
they had another rush.
There's been like 4 Rusties, I think.
Yeah. There have been
I think Anthony Michael Hall did 2 of them, and then there's been like 3. The Vegas Vacation one was a completely different Rusty.
Yeah, the Christmas Vacation's a different Rusty, too. Get used to it. He might have had a conflict. I don't know. There you go. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So great movie star rivalry. I'm just going to quickly go to Dean here, who's in Indianapolis. Dean's got a good one for us. Hi, Dean. How are you?
Hey, it's Van Damme and Seagal. Years ago, probably early 90s, Seagal, Van Damme was on one of the night shows first, and they asked him who would win between them, and Van Damme just kind of played it off, didn't really answer. But Seagal said, "I beat his ass," and I think that's, I think it's a hell of a rivalry because they were doing the movies at the same time, the Kung Fu movies and stuff.
Yeah,
and it was great.
Thank you, Dean, for weighing in on that. I could see those guys having a big rivalry. I didn't know that story about the "I'll kick his butt," but I could see those two guys having a big rivalry because what else do they have? I mean, they're like. Well, Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone were action movie stars, but obviously were like, I don't know what I want to say. Was there a little more depth to them? Maybe I'm wrong here than Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal?
Well, I think there's like different kinds of action, right? There's like the Rambo kind of like Commando where you're like, guns and war and all that. And then there's the Van Damme where you're like hand-to-hand combat. Where like Stallone and Schwarzenegger weren't as much hand-to-hand combat as they were like blowing things up and like crazy effects.
Guns and knives.
Yeah,
you're right. Jean-Claude Van Damme and Seagal were actually probably more artists when it comes to like martial arts.
Like martial arts, yes. I mean,
maybe they deserve...
that's as far as fight movies is maybe up there.
Maybe they deserve more credit.
Yeah, his punchlines of jokes. I mean, we're talking about Steven Seagal and JCV right now, right? Like, what are you guys talking about?
JCV?
Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal are the 2 biggest punchlines in the history of movies.
Wait, have you not seen the movie JVCD? Where Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of makes fun of himself in a movie? Has anyone else seen this? And he's in his hometown of Brussels, right? The Muscles from Brussels is his name. So he's in Brussels as Jean-Claude Van Damme, the actor, and he's in a bank, and all of a sudden the bank gets robbed, and the bank robber takes everybody hostage. And they're like, well, it's fine because Jean-Claude Van Damme is here. Everyone's expecting him to fight the bad guys and get him out, and he's having like a crisis. No one saw JVCD?
No, I've heard of it. That's how
I haven't seen it, but I actually,
it's pretty good.
By the way, it's Steven Seagal. I mean, there's a lot going on there. Let's just leave it at that. Like he wasn't
I've never
quite
seen
sure
one of his movies.
What was the movie and what was real life, and he's made some claims about his martial arts skills that have not quite been backed up. he's like basically like, send me into a foreign country, I will win the war single-handedly with kung fu.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's crazy.
Don't do that. That's not diplomacy. Michael's in Ohio's got a couple for us. Michael, how are you?
How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Just want to touch on the sports real quick. I know you guys are done. I like one that's kind of like off the wall. What about Woody and Bo?
Okay, so no spoiler alert, but no spoilers rather. Tomorrow we're doing greatest coaching rivalries of all time.
Okay, well, I'll call back again tomorrow.
There you go.
But I have two celebrity ones.
Go ahead.
The Rock and Vin Diesel.
Great
are
one.
Known to not like each other at all.
Yes.
And then just to throw a really, really new one. How about Will Smith and Chris Rock?
Michael, way to go there. Thank you so much for the phone call. Yeah, I mean, that's a feud. I don't know if it's a rivalry, but it's a feud.
Oh, man.
I mean, it might go down. It's going to go down as the craziest moment probably in live television history.
Well,
besides like the moon
landing.
landing.
Except for probably sports things. I mean, maybe like Mike Tyson getting his ear bitten off. Or no, biting Evander Holyfield's ear. So, but yeah, I mean.
Bigger audience for the Oscars.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it would have been a pay-per-view for Tyson Holyfield, right?
But that was huge.
No, it was a huge fight, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Super Bowl, has anything happened to Super Bowl? Probably.
Nothing like that.
Janet Jackson, halftime.
Yeah.
The wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because really, you're talking award shows and sports. That's the only live TV.
Yeah, you don't have to watch anything else live anymore.
There's some things that have happened on the news.
Yeah, I said moon landing, maybe a little more recently.
Yeah. Anyway,
insurrections.
Some dark things that have happened on the news.
Yeah, but it's in terms of like, do you consider Chris Rock and Will Smith now a rivalry? Because, well, they're both actors. But not up for the same roles.
Yeah, and the rivalries you guys were talking about, right, are about actors in their heyday at the time going at different stuff in different ways. That was just, like you said, a crazy moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure they both don't like each other now.
I mean, how could you?
How could you?
There's been a lot of comedy rivalries, right? Dane Cook versus Louis C.K., like people who've accused other comics of ripping them off. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Eddie Murphy was like Michael Jackson. There were no rivals, but he was the king.
Yeah, he was the king for so long. I mean, you had Martin Lawrence that kind of came after him and rivaled
but
him.
They were
in their own
They were all homages to Eddie Murphy.
Actually, you know who ended up being a rival of Eddie Murphy?
Acting or comedy?
As comedy? He never got along with Bill Cosby.
Oh, well,
that was different.
Cosby thought he was too vulgar.
Right. And
he didn't like Raw. He didn't like any of that, so he thought he was too vulgar.
And Cosby, I think, told him to like clean up his act. Now, meanwhile, what was going on behind the scenes with Bill Cosby, it was much worse than anything Eddie Murphy would ever say. So that was wild. But yeah, I remember Eddie Murphy has talked about he didn't like Bill Cosby.
Yep, that's a good one.
That's a good one. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Michael in the chat saying Eddie Murphy went head-to-head with Andrew Dice Clay. I feel like Eddie Murphy kind of KO'd him, though.
Yeah, but
I actually remember some stuff around that. Yeah,
I don't know that one.
Andrew Dice Clay was as good as it gets.
Yes.
But
he was messing with Eddie Murphy.
But you could.
He's good.
Was he messing with Eddie Murphy?
No, when I say messing, I meant like he's not gonna. They were not in the same class.
I think they were in totally different lanes. Probably. I don't think Andrew Dice Clay is like, I'm better than Eddie Murphy. No, he was he was so on his own trip.
Yeah. I bet we could not play 15 seconds of an Andrew Dice Clay stand-up set on this radio show on terrestrial radio.
I don't think so.
None of that would hold up at all. None of it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So let us know, what do we miss here? Greatest individual sports rivalry. I have Magic versus Larry, Perloff.
Frazier Ali.
And for greatest movie star rivalry, I have Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sly Stallone.
Okay, I went Bill Murray, Chevy Chase.
Okay, let us know. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we do have one quarterback in limbo, potentially. And we've got a Hall of Fame game tonight. We get to all of it after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Dexter.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, guys, we've got some preseason football Hall of Fame game going down tonight. Jets and Browns in Canton, Ohio. Full preseason action begins next week. Zach Wilson, Kellen Mond, they are starting quarterbacks for New York and Cleveland, respectively, going down tonight. NBA news. Today, the National Basketball Players Association said that a $50,000 donation made by the Orlando Magic to a super PAC supporting Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign was, quote, alarming, given recent comments and policies of its beneficiary. In a statement, the NBPA said the Magic's donation does not represent player support for the recipient. The statement comes after DeSantis made comments supporting Florida's new African-American history standard that says some black people benefited from slavery. Afternoon baseball, White Sox and the Rangers taking a look at the score there. I believe that one now has gone final. Yeah, the Rangers with a 5-3 victory over the White Sox. Scores going on right now. Orioles 3-0 lead over the Blue Jays, and the Giants with a 1-0 lead over the Diamondbacks. Earlier, Michael Lorenzen threw a season-high 8 innings of 2-run ball as the Phillies reeled in the Marlins 4-2. The Royals, they made it 6 wins in a row as they swept the Mets, winning the series finale 9-2. I'm Dexter Henry.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Today. You can hate me now. That's what we're talking about. Greatest individual rivalries of all time on the sports side, and then greatest movie star rivalries of all time. Perloff, our sports rivalries are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Ali Frazier for me.
And Magic and Larry for me.
Yeah.
And the movie star rivalries are a little bit more of a gray area.
Yeah, because that's all behind the scenes stuff. I don't think all that played out publicly as much.
Well, the ones that do and the ones that spill out to the public are the ones that become legend. That's why I've picked Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sylvester Stallone. They both admit that they despise each other and did.
Yeah, I did. Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. But during the 80s, nobody knew that they were, I'm sure they were, saying bad things behind the scenes.
Like open secret.
No, what? I mean, in 1988, you think anyone knew that?
I think so, because the way from listening to Sylvester Stallone and then also watching the Arnold documentary, I think it was pretty open that they did not like each other. Now, we've gotten a few other good ones from the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, where the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers are really on their P's and Q's today. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. I didn't know about that. I went and looked it up. They did dislike each other. David Duchovny said, "We used to argue about nothing. We couldn't stand the sight of each other." And they said familiarity breeds contempt. They worked with each other for so long that they didn't talk for long periods of time, according to Gillian Anderson. It was intense. We were both big pains in the butt to each other for various times. So that's what was going on behind the scenes of the X-Files.
If you're going to go in that direction, how about Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker?
I was just about to say that.
I mean, that
is very recent.
Yeah, and they're giving Kim Cattrall, I know all this because my wife's into it, millions of dollars to do just a little cameo on the new Sex and the City show because they haven't had her for the last movie and I don't know. Some people didn't even know they were still going with those, but it's weird because Kim Cattrall was part of the original four and she's just not there anymore.
Of course, going back, Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, they actually made a a TV show about this not too long ago, and this one was intense. Lasted for several decades. These are movie stars from the 1930s.
Oh yeah, who was in that show? It was a good cast.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy I think did it, but at least one of the parts of their feud started because Joan Crawford married the man that Betty Davis was in love with. I mean, that will jumpstart a feud. Let's go to the phone.
Joan Crawford had a few of them, if you saw Mommy Dearest.
I believe it was Betty Davis said of Joan Crawford, she's slept with every man at MGM except for Lassie.
Wait.
I'm glad she stopped at Lassie.
Sick burn,
Lassie was a big star. I mean, I could get it.
855-212-4CBS. Our pal Mike in California has got a couple for us. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys.
What do you have for us on rivalries?
So my sports one would be one I have to go back a little bit, but Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock. And if you're an old MMA fan, they hated each other, waited 15 years for the rematch from the draw, which even ended controversial, but their hatred for each other went to a 36-round match, which is why we actually have rounds now in MMA. So
that's crazy. There's also a great story, if you're into that, about the 30 for 30 podcast about the very first UFC fight. This is long before Dana White or anyone got there, and it's phenomenal, and it touches on that a little bit. Yep.
And my acting one is also kind of a bleed over into sports, is Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. And even though they got along and they respected each other very much, they always wanted to know who would win in a fight if it was real and not on film. And they were supposed to have a quiet, private match at one point in time, and then Bruce Lee died before they ever had it.
That's amazing. Mike, thank you so much for the phone call, and can't wait to see what you have in store for the Weekdays recipe book for tomorrow. So we're all looking forward to that.
Not a problem. I'll give you a hint. Baby back ribs.
Oh, man, don't tempt us. Mike, thank you so much. Now we're not going to be able to think about anything else. I know how Perloff's brain works these days.
Yeah. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, I didn't know that. To think about, they were going to settle it quietly. Like, generally, actors don't do anything quietly. They're always trying to get attention.
Yeah, I'm reading, there's a lot of, like, when people act together, they don't get along on movies, like one-offs. So, and it's always the same people. A lot of Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen and this co-star, Charlie Sheen and that co-star.
I wonder what the common denominator is on that.
Yeah.
Tom's in Tucson's got one for us. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Glad to hear you guys.
Thanks for calling in.
I'm gonna go ancient history.
Okay.
And a lot of people, this was before my time even. Honus Wagner and Ty Cobb hated each other's guts.
Yep. Well, I feel like Ty Cobb hated everybody, didn't he?
He was the Charlie Sheen of 1912 baseball.
Only a lot less fun.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
For the movie stars,
less Tiger blood.
These two people made a movie together, and they were never on set at the same time. When they had those scenes, they had proxies. W.C. Fields and Mae West.
Wow. Tom, thank you so much. And that is obviously going to be before our time. The only thing I know about Mae West, so forgive my ignorance here, but in the Salvador Dali Museum, he created this huge homage to her. And it's like a massive thing of her face and everything. And I know very little about her except for that.
Okay.
That's all I got to contribute to the class today on Mae West. What about you?
About Mae West? Oh, man.
So the Mae
David
West
was I was a big fan of him, power forward for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
I'm going to chime in here. I was actually in that room of the Mae West thing. It's actually one of the cool things. I can tell you about it during the break.
Yeah, like on a ladder, and you.
All right, you guys go to art museums. Woohoo. Had to get that in there.
Let's get back on track. Breakout player of the NFL this season. There we go. Get back to football in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Howell in the chat says, got a little advice for me. Maggie, for your 40-yard dash at next year's draft, have someone attach a bag of gummies to a stick like they do at a dog track. See, that implies that I needed some kind of motivation. The motivation was to not embarrass myself, which I'm pretty sure I did. I had like a Fred Flintstone kind of wind up where I was like, like my feet were going, and then I took off.
Yeah,
like
you were
fast feet.
Next year, maybe can we get you a coach or something? Somebody tell you how to get out of the blocks.
How about just like a pair of shorts?
Some sneakers, maybe.
I gotta plan a little better for this thing.
The upright running style, you have so much wind resistance.
I told you, I'm taller than people think, so that's a whole 5'8". I'm like a parachute out there.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Jerry Jones back at it. Can we go a day without something from him? Anyway.
Not during training camp. He speaks every day.
And the season, it feels like.
Yeah, it's season. It's only like 6 days a week.
Takes a break at some point. So Jerry Jones opening up on his quarterback, Dak Prescott, and he was on 96.7 The Ticket in Dallas talking about how excited he is to see Dak in this new offense.
That's Dak friendly. The offensive line is going to be able to protect him better. He's going to have less to do before the snap and less to read after the snap. I'm confident that we're going to be excited about how it protects Dak and how it actually helps efficiency for Dak.
Okay, so if you couldn't hear that, it's Dak friendly, as he called it, right? Less to do pre-snap, less to do post-snap. Well, a little bit different than what CeeDee Lamb said to the media, I don't know, 2 days ago.
It's a lot more simpler. You know, all the offense is in Dak's hands now. It's not necessarily, being called from Mike or Kel since last year, but now it's all on Dak. Like, however he's feeling versus the coverage, if he like the matchup, we're going to call that play. If he likes whatever he likes versus zone, he's going to call that play. So technically, it's all in Dak's hands.
Okay. So which is it?
Is it all in Dak's hands, or is this Dak friendly? Is he doing everything before the snap, or is he doing nothing before the snap?
I can't imagine in today's NFL when you have offense coordinators talking into a helmet, and we made all this fuss about Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling duties from Kellen Moore, who they let go. Of course the coaches are calling the plays. This thought that Dak is going to get up to the line, look at the defense, and say, all right, let's do a pass to the tight end. I mean, that's just not how it works. Of course he was taking plays from the coach. I thought that was really weird what CeeDee Lamb was saying. There might be some variation of that. They did say one thing in common, which was simple.
Simple.
So maybe there's something there, and there was some miscommunication.
Okay, but here's the thing, and I know Dak threw a lot of interceptions last year, but maybe the simplification wasn't just for Dak. Maybe it's for some of the wide receivers, too, because we know all those interceptions weren't just on Prescott. But, this offense was really humming. To me, it didn't seem like it was something that Dak couldn't handle. Now, you want to talk about end-of-game situations, the end of the San Francisco divisional round game 2 years ago, the end of the San Francisco game last year. Okay, you want to talk about end-of-game situations, might have been a little overwhelming for Dak or whatever. But as far as, the offense all season, I thought the Dallas offense was actually quite good.
Well,
productive.
Yes. I mean, listen, they ran into San Francisco again. That was a problem. The score was 19-12 or 19-13
or something. That's what happens in the playoffs, though,
Yeah, when you see San Francisco in specific, I mean, they destroyed Tampa Bay. I think part of the reason was that Dak lost confidence in his receivers and the offense. He just didn't look confident. So maybe that's what Jerry's talking about. Now, part of it is I don't think he had anyone to throw to last year except for CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
I don't think he trusts Noah Brown. I don't think he trusted any of the tight ends. I think there was a lot going on. Because, the offense was good statistically, but he did have 15 picks. So I think that was a whole offense thing. And he got stuck. There were so many times where Ezekiel Elliott would run to the line and Dak would be in 3rd and long and have to try to make a play. I think the Cowboys are saying, we're not going to put him in any positions where it's likely that he'll throw a pick.
Listen, simple doesn't mean bad. Simple doesn't mean bad. And this could really work out for Dak. Now, I think there's a bit of a question between you and I where maybe we don't agree on this, whether the Cowboys are actually setting up Dak for success or are they setting up Dak to be the fall guy if this doesn't work this year. Could you finally say, all right, it's been 8 years, we've got to move on because Dak's never been able to get us to the promised land?
I think the narrative has changed throughout the offseason. I think Mike McCarthy's working overtime to put more pressure on Dak. Because now it's all about, we're setting this up for Dak. We're setting this up. If something goes wrong, it's on Dak now. It just feels like that's what the Cowboys are saying, where the last round of Jerry Jones quotes, we haven't heard anyone say, there's a lot of pressure on Mike McCarthy to get this offense right. He's saying we've done everything we can to make Dak a good quarterback. If he can't do it now. And it's just curious to me that they haven't signed that extension with Dak, which I think a lot of people expected to happen but by this point of the offseason. So I'm wondering, maybe he really isn't sold on Dak. Because you and I have another big argument where I think Mike McCarthy goes, if something goes wrong this year, if they have a losing record, McCarthy is gone, and then they would keep Dak. But now I don't know because they haven't signed that extension. Maybe their confidence is faltering in Dak Prescott.
I can see where that could happen, and I like your sort of Machiavellian, behind the scenes.
Yeah,
maybe McCarthy's trying to get the narrative on his side, get the owner on his side, get the press on his side, whatever that is. But I'm going to be honest, I know Brandon Cooks has been on a lot of teams, but you do add Brandon Cooks. CeeDee Lamb is a number one receiver. Gallup is going to be healthy. I imagine they are going to get this worked out with Zach Martin, so he will be back, and there isn't going to be a contract situation that bleeds into the season. So you're going to get your right guard back, your all-world, future Hall of Fame right guard. Yeah. Pollard, I don't know how that's going to be with him taking the majority of the carries, but I've been told over and over again by every single NFL team that it doesn't really matter who your running back is, maybe outside of Derrick Henry, and everyone's interchangeable, so that should be fine. So how are they not setting up Dak for success?
Well, watch last year's. Watch it. Go to YouTube and find a reel of all Dak Prescott's interceptions, and you will see exactly how they did. He would hit a guy in the numbers. The ball would bounce 20 feet in the air and land in another. Or even worse, there was one he threw to CeeDee Lamb, hit him at the 1-yard line. Lamb somehow took the ball and flinged it backwards 25 yards to another safety on the other team. The receivers hurt Dak all the time last year. And the receiving core was not great last year. Gallup, I know he's back, but that's a guy who we've been waiting to sort of be healthy and take the next step, and it just hasn't happened.
Yep.
Running game is questionable. The offensive line is getting old. I mean, Tyron Smith's been around a long time now.
Okay, so here's another part where the whole, all right, they're setting up Dak to fail, and he's going to be the fall guy for all of this. What are you going to do at quarterback if not for him? You say, like what? Bring in Kirk Cousins? You're going to switch 1 for 1? Or you're going to draft a quarterback and start over?
That's why I think that Dak is a lot safer than Mike McCarthy, because they're not going to be high enough to draft a guy. Maybe they'll get someone at 20.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't make sense for me for Dak to be the fall guy, because I don't see where the great option is. Like,
but you think McCarthy's not going to be set up to be the fall guy either?
Well, in this situation, we're asking, is Dak going to be the fall guy? I don't think so. You do.
Well, no. I mean, listen,
you think McCarthy's working behind the scenes to try to get people on his side.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to change the narrative, and I think that they're holding back on the money for Dak, which I don't think they had any intention of doing that, but it is just curious to me that they haven't extended him, and they don't seem like they're in any rush, because we all thought that was going to happen this offseason to help the cap, because like you said, there's nothing else to do. That being said, if they don't get to the least. Oh, man, I still think we have this bet. If they don't get to the conference title game, then McCarthy's gone. He can't keep being 12-5 and losing the divisional round.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be safe.
Because of the love for the coaches?
The love for the coaches, the loyalty. I mean, and also, when it comes to McCarthy, I think it's going to be the loyalty and the love of the coaches, and Sean Payton is in Denver, so...
Well, Lincoln Riley's could be available.
Okay, but he might not, because USC is going to be going to the Big Ten, and maybe he wants to be a part of that. You could have Dan Quinn. He's the in-house, option. Okay, then you still have to solve your offense, and come up with solutions there, and who's going to be on that side of the ball. And then the other part too is, I mean, who do you replace Dak with? There's not like an easy fix. Again, unless you want to go with a Kirk Cousins, that's a lateral move. Who else is going to become available on the open market?
Yeah,
that doesn't happen.
No. I think Dak's fine. And also, I think Dak's a good quarterback. I think none of this is going to play out. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to have 30 touchdowns and 14 picks this year, be pretty good. Cowboys are going to be 12-5, and then it's going to be the real test. Can they get over that hump in the playoffs? Because that's been the issue in the last 20 years. Even when they're good, something happens in the playoffs. It can't be an accident they keep tripping up in the postseason, right?
It's not. It's when the defenses get a lot better. And as you get deeper into the playoffs, you're facing better defenses.
Yeah.
And that's always been the problem. And that's been the problem for Prescott and for the offense. And I think that's why Kellen Moore's not there. And now they're going to see if Mike McCarthy as the play caller, can get them further in simplifying everything for Dak.
I'll tell you one reason, by the way. This year, 12-5, going to be harder. Because last year they had the AFC South, just like the Eagles. Like, they're going to miss those give-me games. I think both the Eagles and Cowboys, I think, were 4-0 against the AFC. It's not going to be like that this year. They play the AFC West. So
it's not insurmountable.
Oh, I'm sorry. They play the AFC East, which is even harder.
So they start the year, excuse me one second. They start the year against the New York Giants, and then they go to...
They host
the Jets. Sorry, it's at Giants, home for Jets, at Arizona, so you get an easy one there. New England, then at San Francisco, at the Chargers before your bye.
Yeah, then they got
not a lot of gimmies there outside of the Cardinals.
Yeah, and late in the season, they have at your Buffalo Bills in December 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not good for a Texas team. That's going to be chilly, Maggie.
Something tells me they'll be okay.
Oh, I'll bet you right now they are not going to win that game in Buffalo. That's all I need.
That's a weather loss.
December 17th in Buffalo, the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, no.
Well, then they get a makeup for it. Next week is Christmas Eve. They're at Miami.
Yeah, but then you get the South Beach flu. They're going to be partying all.
No, they did him a favor. It's a 4:25 Eastern start. Usually the South Beach flu hits hardest when you have the 1 o'clock Eastern Sundays.
Yeah, I don't know. It is Miami in December. It's pretty fun.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, Cowboy fans, do you feel like organization is setting up Dak for success, or are they setting up Dak to be the fall guy if they don't make it to whatever, past the divisional round? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So much more to do, including more submissions coming in on our great debate series. We're doing greatest individual rivalry of all time on the sports side. I have Magic and Larry Perloff.
Frazier Ali.
And you're welcome to weigh in on other individual rivalries. We've had a lot of good suggestions. Messi Ronaldo, Borg McEnroe, Martina, Chrissy Everett. There's a lot of tennis ones.
Yeah, golf too. Obviously, Jack and Arnie.
Tiger and Phil. Let us know what we missed. And then on the non-sports rivalry, we're doing greatest movie star rivalries of all time. And for that, I picked Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
Bill Murray and Chevy Chase.
And a couple more that came in. Joe Rogan, Carlos Mencia. I'm not so familiar with this feud, but we got that one from the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. So you're welcome to weigh in. We're learning a lot more about some of these feuds. Little Bruce Lee and
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris, thank you. We had a little Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, if you want to go all the way back. A little Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. Apparently things on the set of The X-Files got a little frosty.
Totally. I mean, it kind of feels unfair to have Chuck Norris in a rivalry because, I mean...
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
What do you have, an entire army against him? Chuck Norris against mankind?
Yeah.
I don't know what's fair in this particular rivalry.
Steven Seagal against Jean-Claude Van Damme was another one. Vin Diesel against The Rock. That one's a little more recent because they were just in that Fast and Furious.
But they were
50.
That's one of the ones that couldn't be in the same movie, or it could be in the same scene or something.
I mean, crazy with these action
stars. Yeah, and then The Rock said he'll never do another Fast and the Furious movie ever again, and then apparently he's in the trailer or the post-credit scene of the last one.
Why? Does anyone know what Vin Diesel and The Rock are fighting over?
Yeah,
because they're the exact same person.
No, they were. Well, yeah, but they were talking about it, and it was. I think that one of them was trying to give the other one like acting tips or like pointers. And I think it was Vin Diesel was trying to give The Rock like some pointers.
But you go to like Tom Hanks or Meryl Streep, not Vin Diesel for acting tips.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
That's enough to have like
Groot.
a blood feud
dude.
over.
At least that's what I believe happened. There was like a little bit of a, hey, why don't you try this? And it was like, well, why don't you keep your mouth shut? I don't know. I don't know exactly how it went down. But kind of one implying I'm a better actor than you.
Okay.
Which is funny because with the Schwarzenegger-Stallone feud, it was never about who's the better actor, ever. It was always about you have, 6-inch knife, I'm going to have a 12-inch knife. And you killed 15 people, I'm going to kill 30 in my movie, you know? It was never like, wow, you were not believable as Conan the Barbarian. And
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Well, I don't think...
Great Australian accent.
I don't think that Crocodile Dundee had a rival. Paul Hogan have a rival in real
Steve
life?
Irwin?
Maybe someone,
yes,
from New England. No, I mean from New Zealand. Because New Zealand and Australia are rivals.
Yeah, but Steve Irwin, guys, don't bring that up.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying Crocodile Dundee probably had the New Zealand version of Crocodile Dundee, who we don't even know.
Another guy.
Steve Irwin was Australian too, right? So they were, I assume, buddies.
I believe so. Yeah, of course he was. 855-212-4CBS. May he rest in peace. 855-212-4227. All right, let us know what we missed. Greatest individual rivalry of all time, and then greatest movie star rivalry of all time. Can we put Angelina Jolie and Jennifer Aniston in this conversation?
Ooh, I don't know. Are those two movie stars? Is Jennifer Aniston a movie star?
She's done enough movies that she's a movie star.
I think she's definitely a movie star. I think Angelina Jolie's a movie star.
Well, Angelina Jolie, for
she's
sure.
Definitely a movie star.
But like Jennifer Aniston's like a TV star.
Well, she's most popular for TV, but
she's been in I think she's been in enough good movies or enough movies.
But I feel like those are, and when it comes to movies, are in kind of different lanes. Like Angelina Jolie's like an Oscar-winning and huge blockbuster-carrying kind of A-list actress, where Jennifer Aniston was more of a cultural phenomenon with the haircut and Brad Pitt. And
well, that was the whole thing. They were. It was not so much a rivalry over who was going to get what movie role as who gets to be married to Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I don't know if that kind of fits in the same lane with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, I don't know if Arnold and Sylvester ever fought over the same woman. Probably. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we've got breakout player for you, and we also have checking in on our pal Aaron Rodgers. Where will he be tonight? Hall of Fame game. Got that coming up in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Rivalry week. We'll get to Aaron Rodgers in just a moment. We got the Hall of Fame game tonight, so we get sorta, kinda, something that resembles real football happening tonight between the Jets and the Cleveland Browns. But it is rivalry week, so today we're doing greatest individual sports rivalries, where I went Magic and Larry, and Perloff went Ali Frazier. But Cindy in Arizona, Cindy, I think you might have the mic dropper here.
Yeah, that was so wild. No one could really believe it happened.
Well, tell us what it is. Which one?
Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan.
Bravo, Cindy. What a blind spot that Perloff and I didn't even have Tanya and Nancy on our bingo card. That's a great one.
Yeah. It's a little different than Ali Frazier and Larry versus Magic.
But that's what makes it kind of great, right? There's so much there.
That was horrid.
It really was.
Poor Nancy.
I know. Poor Nancy. And Cindy, thank you so much for the phone call. Great drop in there. And then, you watch the Tanya Harding movie, and then you start to feel like a little bad for Tanya, too, because her mom was so hard on her, and nobody loved her when she was growing up, and she was just in a bad relationship. But obviously it's not, that's just, that doesn't mean you should be able to try to hire somebody to take a lead pipe to your biggest rival. And they're both Americans vying for the same Olympic team. Crazy.
I think Kerrigan was better, right? That's why I always assume that, because Tanya Harding had to take her knees out. And obviously Kerrigan was America's sweetheart. I've seen the movie.
Tanya's great
Tanya Harding, not so much. I'm getting in a total wormhole of behind the scenes. Apparently, everyone in Hollywood hates everybody else in Hollywood. Are you aware of this?
It
is nothing. But I've been on movie sets, as you know.
Yeah, tell us.
It seems like everybody has to work pretty hard to get the darn movie done. But I guess actors have big egos and sort of go at each other.
Welcome to the show.
Well, you know what? When people are going into the music ones again.
That was from 2 days ago, right?
Yeah. One we did not pay enough attention to, I think, was we talked about it, but a lot of people are tweeting me about Taylor Swift and Katy Perry.
Yep,
and Taylor Swift and Kanye too. Yep. I know, again, it's music, but I'm looking at all these lists. We like each other. Is it that hard? Are there media feuds that we should have considered?
We could still do media feuds, but yeah, there's tons of them. One of them happened right down the hall here. A couple of them.
You mean with you?
No, with Mike and the Mad Dog.
They feuded? No, I'm serious. I know they won.
Are you kidding?
Well,
Did you not watch the 30 for 30 about them? They didn't speak to each other for 3 months and did a show.
Oh, really? No, actually, I don't know. I'm being totally honest. I didn't know. I thought that they decided to split apart, and there was acrimony about that. You mean they were fighting before that?
That, too. That also was part of it.
You guys are so nervous when I mentioned that. It's like we're in the area where the battle went down.
No, we're welcome to talk about my feuds any day. Let's go to Myrtle Beach. It's Tony. He's got a sports one for us. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Hey, guys. What's going on? So I'm on every time I turn on, I'm like, all right, it's just you guys have had some great topics this week. So check it out.
Yeah.
Jordan versus the entire Pistons. Because he had his own rule. I think when their paths crossed, it really just changed the trajectory of each team. It had a huge. If that never happened, Isaiah Thomas may have hit the dream team.
For sure.
Yeah, and no, that one.
I just wanted to get y'all's take on that. I appreciate you guys.
Tony, thanks so much. I guess you do MJ versus Isaiah then, right? MJ against all the Pistons is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But the MJ Isaiah was very intense.
Well, no. There was definitely a Pistons thing because they would all take swipes at him. They would all. It was 5 guys on Jordan. They're like,
remember they
Jordan
didn't shake his hand after, walked off the
Jordan
floor.
gets the lane hit. But I agree, by the way, Jordan sort of got his revenge on Isaiah with the Dream Team thing. I get the sense that people who were not on the Pistons, a lot of people had some issues with Isaiah. I know Magic and Isaiah were close, but yeah, that one took on a life of its own. I think The Last Dance, that was one of the best parts, most interesting parts.
No doubt. I think that definitely deserves it. For me, about the Magic and Larry, why I put them in is not just like their relationship, I think, was always cordial and full of respect. But they're so linked to each other. Of course. Michael Jordan's got he's got a whole universe around him that's just about MJ. Isaiah's got his own things. Magic and Larry, it's like, can you tell the story of Magic Johnson without Larry Bird?
Yeah,
and can you tell the story of Larry Bird without Magic Johnson? You can't.
Absolutely. It's a good way to put it. Jordan and Larry Bird, that's
another good one. That was good in The Last Dance.
They turned out to be super tight buddies. Yeah. That's the thing. I am one thing that's good about Magic and Larry Bird is they ended up becoming friends.
Yeah, I think Cindy in Arizona nailed this. I think it's Kerrigan Harding.
That wasn't really a rivalry.
It definitely was.
Like
you hire somebody to take out your rival with a lead pipe. I think you win this debate.
Well, yeah, but I would say like Larry and Magic lasted 8 years, and Ali and Frazier was the #1 story for 4 years. I don't know. That was like one moment.
No, because it bled through to the whole, 92 and the 94 games.
Did Nancy even know that she had this rival? She just was like, I'm Nancy Kerrigan. I'm going along. I'm so pretty.
She found out real quick.
Well, she found out
Nancy,
when the rest of us. She's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Tanya Harding did what? I think Nancy Kerrigan, as I recall, was like, she was at the top of the mountain there. And, I don't know if that was a rivalry a bit one-sided in a sense.
No, but Tanya Harding also won a gold.
Yeah.
So I think they were legit rivals. I'm seeing this January 8th, 1994, Harding won gold.
I think that was maybe like the
U.S. figure skating championships. Yeah, no, I think they were real rivals. I mean, and also that's the thing about figure skating, right? You're right. Nancy Kerrigan was like the beauty pageant, and Tanya Harding was like a little more of the blue collar, hard scrabble. I don't know if that was actually true, but that's sort of how it was portrayed. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's get to Aaron Rodgers.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
These are getting a lot more normal at the Hall of Fame game tonight. The Jets and the Cleveland Browns in Canton, Ohio. Now, Rodgers is not going to be playing at all. Neither will Deshaun Watson, for that matter. So we get treated to a dose of Zach Wilson versus Kellen Mond. But I did hear something from ESPN's Diana Rossini where she said that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a headset on tonight and maybe calling a couple plays or something. I don't know.
Kyler Murray style. Yeah, I wonder if, I'm curious. You think we'll see Aaron Rodgers talking to a microphone doing an interview tonight? What do you think the odds are? Maybe is it the most certain thing that's ever been certain in the history of the universe that we're going to have to listen to Aaron Rodgers say something Aaron Rodgers like tonight?
Well, good. Then we'll get a WTF Aaron Rodgers tomorrow.
Oh, God. Why does he? I would be so sick of this dude by September 10th.
Well, I got another one for you. So here was Josh Allen, who was a guest on your boy, Big Cat, Part of My Take podcast, talking about Aaron Rodgers, big-time cheater.
Aaron Rodgers cheated, right?
He did. I love Aaron.
Yeah.
But he did.
He cheated?
Yeah.
He sandbagged you.
Not just me, the world.
Yeah. What did he do?
He may have gotten just 7 or 8 strokes too many at Pebble Beach.
Oh.
Or 9.
No,
not from me.
He's
That's
a great guy.
What other sources are saying. I'm not saying that.
No, I think Aaron Rodgers should be in jail.
I would say a lot of the golfers maybe thought that too.
So there you go. Now, I'm going to have to throw myself on the mercy of the golf lovers here, the men and women, because I'm not one of those lying about your handicap.
Yeah.
Where does this land on the, list of offenses? Is this a we can't be friends anymore offense, or is this every guy and gal lies about their handicap? Enlighten me here, golf people.
I don't know. Call us. I'm not sure. But, I mean, obviously, Josh Allen got caught up in the moment because of the arrest Aaron Rodgers thing. Big Cat, famous Bears fan, has been trying to put Aaron Rodgers in jail for 20 years.
It's not his problem anymore. Now he's out of the division.
But Josh Allen is very, very close with that particular podcast, Part of My Take. He got caught up in the moment. I did not, because I think I imagine that Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers are pretty good buddies.
No, they are. But if Rodgers is going to play with a handicap of 10 instead of his real handicap, what Josh Allen is saying is 3, then you are cheating. I just don't know from the golf community, is this like acceptable cheating and everyone does it? Or is this really, I don't think Josh Allen's actually mad about it, but is this something that's acceptable or is this a big no-no? Is this a niche?
My sense of that, whatever happened, that was not a real no-no.
You're the one who tells me that.
Yeah, I don't think I think
care
Josh
more
Allen,
about golf.
They
than
do, but
anything else.
I think Josh Allen was totally joking there because I think he knows that Aaron Rodgers is in his division. I don't think he wants to provide any bulletin board material for Aaron Rodgers.
No, leave that to Sean Payton.
I mean, you heard the question. What was the question? Aaron Rodgers cheated, didn't he? That's not exactly a non-biased question.
Well, you'll remember, though, when Allen and Mahomes played against Brady and Rodgers in one of those golf exhibition things, it was Aaron Rodgers who beat Mahomes and Josh Allen on like the final hole.
I will not remember that because I don't even know why you remember that. If it wasn't the Buffalo Bills quarterback, I watched that stupid thing.
I don't
remember
a
single result of any of those matches.
The supercomputer of my brain.
Yeah. So wait, what did you claim happened on the last hole of that?
Aaron Rodgers won it for the old guys, won it for him and Brady against Mahomes and Allen.
Okay, yeah. I
didn't look like a 10 handicap then.
That did not strike me as even 1%. I have a real issue with him cheating there. But I don't think.
Of course not. But I just don't know. Like, forgive me on golf ignorance here.
Well,
I don't know if this is just an accepted part of the game, like man on second's going to try to steal signs from the catcher, or is this like a, Well,
obviously you're playing for money, so every shot matters. I could see it being a lot of arguments. Say you're paying for $300 and the guy gets 3 shots. Yeah, I'm assuming you would fight over that. I mean,
how quaint, 300.
I would need, honestly, like 42 shots to compete for money. So I can't really comment.
This is another one because I've never been on this side of things, but I've heard this before. Stu, can we have the Brock Purdy, please? So Brock Purdy was a guest on the Murph and Mac show on KNBR. And he told a story about proposing to his girlfriend and how he was more nervous for that than playing in a football game.
Were the nerves more intense in the build-up to pop the question or the nerves like before one of the playoff games?
Yeah, I think that was probably the peak of nerves in my life right there.
Yeah.
The whole day.
It builds up,
man. Night, so, the whole build-up throughout the day, I was like, man, this is worse than playing in a game.
Now, my husband told me the same thing after he proposed and after we got engaged. He's like, this is the most nervous I've been in my life because, from his words, he had to kind of go through the whole thing in secret. Right? Like, I didn't know anything. He's planning everything. And, I don't know if he told any of his friends, I'm sure family, but it's like, he had to carry around the secret that he was going to propose to me, and it was like eating him up.
Did he tell your parents?
Yes.
Okay, so he got it out to the world. He got to talk about it.
Yeah.
You were actually in the last to know.
I was the last to know, but he said he was super nervous. Were you super nervous when you proposed to Sarah?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Dexter, you're also shaking your head, yes.
I was super nervous.
Do you think we're going to say no?
No. So that was the thing that I was then asked to me. It was like, well, why are you nervous? Did you not think I was going to say no? But I think it's about the build-up, you sticking with it, having the secret. I was just talking to somebody the other day who's going to propose to their girlfriend overseas. I think he's doing it in Paris. And he's like, I'm nervous about carrying the ring for all these days. I was like, how long on the trip are you doing? He's like, 4 days. I'm like, man, that's too much.
I did it overseas, so I brought I brought a fake ring because I'm like, I can't carry the real ring and risk losing it during travel.
Yeah.
So
my husband did overseas too, and he carried the real ring, and he had to carry it around for like a week before he proposed because we were there for another person's wedding, so we had to let several days pass after their wedding because he didn't want to seem like we were encroaching on.
That was respectful.
Yeah.
I respect that. I just feel for him that he had the pressure of carrying this around for so long. Like that's a while.
Yeah, that's tough.
I just never understood, where do the nerves come from? Not that she's going to say no. Are the nerves like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to do this, and she's going to say yes, and I'm going to be tied to this moment for the rest of my life.
I think it's more about getting it right?
But by the way, Maggie, so when he, I don't know if he got down on his knees.
Yeah, he did.
But you're telling me you didn't feel a surge of anxiety and pressure when that happened? Like
total adrenaline. It was like a wild. Yes, you're right. That is an unlike anything feeling.
Yeah,
it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, like that moment, euphoric. But were you nervous too? Like I was just nervous. Like the whole thing is nerve wracking. This is the one probably most important decision of your entire life.
Yeah, Hopefully.
Still sweating it.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Like, there's no other big decision. Like, I sweat over what I should order for dinner, let alone who I should spend the rest of my life with.
Perloff and I went to lunch the other day, and you suggested 5 restaurants.
We should really ask.
One.
I mean, there's only one person this question is really relevant to. Stu, what do you got planned?
I didn't mean to do that, Stu. No,
look, Stu
we met Stu's girlfriend. She was lovely. See, that's the thing though about on the women's side of it. It'd be less likely that she would be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised by this," than like, "What took you so long?" is probably the reaction to most women.
That's not what anybody wants to hear.
No, it's great, but no. If you're asking if I had anxiety, I didn't because I didn't know what was going on. So I was just like pure euphoria.
But when he hit his knees, there must have been a moment of like,
yeah, it's like, but happy.
Would you have said something if you didn't like how the proposal went down? Like if you thought it wasn't well executed, would you have said something about it?
Well, he executed this perfectly. So I luckily do not have to have that. I would not. No, I would not say
Gotcha.
that. But that's not even a question. My husband somehow got a photographer to be like in the middle of nowhere.
See, to me, takes a little.
She was like in the bushes.
Takes a little of the romance out of if you have a photographer there.
It was great.
Here's what I will say. It sounds to me like you did not know the photographer was there.
No.
Until after.
Right.
Same for me. Was able to.
Wait.
Yeah.
You did not know the photographer.
I looked over. We're hugging as like he's on his knees. Then I get down on my knees. We're hugging. I'm like revealing this very personal thing. That's fine. We're hugging on our knees on this cliff in England. And all of a sudden I look over and I'm like, what is that woman doing in the bushes? And she was taking pictures of us hiding away from us.
And she was someone that had been hired, right? She wasn't just random.
No, she was hired and drove out from London. And then we were so in the middle of nowhere and had no idea how to get back. The photographer ended up giving us a ride back to like the train station.
Yeah, I was kidding. I didn't think she was a random.
Oh, yeah,
just sitting there in the bushes. Yeah. But I don't know. It feels a little like Kardashian, like a little reality TV that your husband, you don't need a photographer there. That's so.
Now we have the moment.
Yeah, you have the moment.
No,
but
you need a photographer there. Absolutely.
Oh, that's so weak.
You're anti-photographer, huh?
Big time, because I don't know. It feels produced.
Feels produced.
See, the thing I would never have wanted to do, and no shade to anybody who's done this, was I did not want it to be, even though it's funny I did in a public place, but I ended up doing it in a restaurant where nobody was in the restaurant.
Oh, that's
so it ended up being perfect. But I wouldn't want to do this grand spectacle.
In front of a lot of people.
Right, but I wanted the moment to be captured. I did want to capture
I feel like having a photographer there is one step away from doing it on Instagram Live.
Oh, God.
No.
Somebody's done that. I'm sure
people have. But this is like so you can show your kids, you know. Here's the thing. What do we think about stadium proposals?
Nope.
No way.
Ugh. Totally against it. Totally against it.
Oh,
I actually dated a girl who later on, she proposed to her boyfriend at a Cubs game.
Oh, what a mess.
Oh, boy. That's a lot of layers.
I'm not gonna comment on that. There's a lot of layers.
Dexter's backing away.
There's about 9 things wrong in that
was rough.
12-word sentence.
Agreed.
What'd he say?
He said yes. They're happily married, or at least they were as of a few years ago. But yeah, the crowd was not having it.
Aww.
They don't even really have a video board to show it at the Cubs, do they? Wait, I don't know. Did they get one recently or something?
I think the Cubs have, but I mean, this was also 15 years ago, so I don't know if they had it.
No, there's definitely no video board at Wrigley Field.
Years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
they have a board of some sort. It may not be video, but they put like some announcement up somewhere.
Huh? Yeah,
and the crowd booed.
I don't know if they booed, but it wasn't like a receptive.
The crowd was right. Yeah. The crowd was right.
Yeah, no, the crowd. Those fans know what they're doing at Wrigley, and they were very right in this.
See, that's the thing. It's like usually they do the proposals like a little further into the games when everyone's really nice and drunk. It's like that's not what I want.
Wow. Yeah, Cubs fans don't get nice when they get drunk.
No, that's what, like you want some sloppy, fans of any. I'm not just saying the Cubs.
Yeah, Cubs fans, first pitch, first inning, you're fine. That's a well-lubricated stadium.
Wearing diapers.
Yeah.
So they don't want
yeah. There's only 6,000 bars within a 2-block radius of the stadium.
People who can't be bothered to go to the bathroom in like a toilet.
Yeah. Well,
why do we always talk about bathrooms on this show? How do we always get every conversation to a toilet?
I'm not sure. Because isn't life all roads lead?
All roads lead to toilets.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Congratulations, Brock Purdy. Engaged. Coming up, okay, very important birthday getting celebrated today. We'll tell you how they're celebrating. We'll do that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Here's an update. Here's Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, guys, the NFL kicks off its preseason schedule tonight. Jets versus Browns in the Hall of Fame game. That'll be in Canton, Ohio. Zach Wilson will be under center for New York, while Kellen Mond gets to start for Cleveland. The retired Tom Brady, he's got a new job. Now a minority owner of Birmingham City, a soccer club in England's second division. Brady also becomes the chairperson of the team's advisory board. He'll share his expertise in areas like nutrition, wellness, and recovery. Speaking of minority ownership, we go to the NBA where Michael Jordan has a minority stake in the Hornets. Jordan is no longer the owner of the Charlotte franchise. The NBA Board of Governors approved the sale, $3 billion last month. Now that sale is finalized. We had some afternoon baseball today. The Orioles right now with a 4-1 lead in top of the eighth inning over the Blue Jays, and the Giants with a 1-0 lead over the Diamondbacks. That one in the bottom of the eighth inning. Some finals from earlier. Max Scherzer made his Rangers debut and struck out 9 batters over 6 innings as Texas topped the White Sox 5-3. Make it 6 wins in a row for the Royals as they swept the Mets, winning the series finale 9-2. And in Miami, Michael Lorenzen made his Phillies debut, pitching 8 innings of 2-run ball. Phils, they dropped the Marlins 4-2. I'm Dexter Henry.
What can you expect out of Bryce Young during his rookie season? Panther safety Xavier Woods stops by the Zach Gelb Show later, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff. Rivalry week. Greatest individual sports rivalry of all time. Greatest movie star rivalry of all time. For me, Schwarzenegger versus Stallone.
Yeah. A lot of testosterone in that one.
A lot of...
Just the way you said it, I felt the testosterone in the room. Yeah.
Both real and synthetic. And then Magic and Larry, yeah.
If you guys had to pick a side, who's got Schwarzenegger, who's got Stallone?
Well, I read to you the run that Schwarzenegger went on from like 84 to like 93. We go Terminator, then Twins, Total Recall, Kindergarten Cop, Terminator 2 to True Lies. Like that is really, really amazing. But Stallone has won an Oscar.
Stallone wrote Rocky.
Yeah, and had the Rocky franchise.
But I feel like, like Stallone has Rocky and like that puts him over the top. But like outside of the Rocky stuff, Schwarzenegger has him crushed.
Well, Rambo.
I agree with that.
Yeah, Rambo was. Meh.
Rambo is a huge cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, have you gone back and watched that?
The one with Brian Dennehy, the first one's pretty good. It's kind of like an indie movie. It's like it's nothing like the big shoot 'em up movie. It's like a heartfelt story of a Vietnam veteran gone awry.
Yeah.
You didn't like Rambo? What's wrong with you?
What a movie review. And Samter, 2 thumbs up, meh, 2 thumbs down.
I got to admit, I'm still secretly upset that Samter didn't like Stripes.
Wait, go ahead and...
Mine's Bill Murray, Chevy Chase.
I'm not saying I didn't like Stripes. I was like 7 when I saw it or something, or 9.
But you never seen it on cable?
It came out in 1981.
It's on TV all the time. You've seen it? How many times have you seen it?
We just talked about Rambo. Came out in like 1978.
No, I know, but so what I'm saying is like outside of me seeing it that one time, I haven't gone back and seen it.
I feel like it's on cable.
I will go back and see it.
How many times have you seen Animal House?
Dozens.
Yeah, but that was 5 years before Stripes, and Stripes was on TV just as much.
Stripes was never on the radar. Animal House was like a classic. Stripes, it never hit me. No one ever talked to me about Stripes. Like, you have to see this movie. It always looked like a movie where I was like, oh, this looks cool. Maybe I'll see it someday.
Wait, so
Animal House was legendary.
So let's go around the room. Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
I actually, I was going to say Schwarzenegger because he's a better action hero movie. Yeah, I'll still go Schwarzenegger because I'm a huge Terminator fan.
Wow, I can't believe you would go against Rocky ever. You're Philadelphia.
Yeah, but then, like Rocky 1 through 6 were good. Yeah, but see, we're talking about this rivalry is about who's the better action star, and for me, Schwarzenegger was a better action star.
Man, I'd like to disagree with you, but I think I got to go Schwarzenegger. I think I just watched the documentary, though, which is fresh in my brain.
Yeah, I watched it recently, too.
Yeah.
By the way, you're not going to feel the same way after part 3.
Yeah, I know. I started
Part 3
Googling
is
a
where
little
things-
about Schwarzenegger.
Part 3 is where things get really dicey.
Yeah, I think the word groping was used a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to gloss
His
that,
personal
by the
life
way.
was complicated.
Yeah. Stu, Samter?
I'll go Schwarzenegger. I like Terminator. I've seen 1 and 3. So
You never saw 2?
I have not seen 2.
Lakewood Terminator?
That makes no sense.
Terminator 2 is when he's a good guy.
That's the best one. That's the epic one.
Well, I'll have to watch that. Add
What
it
is
to the list.
3? I don't even know what happened in 3.
Rise of the Machines?
That's flabbergasting. How do you
Is that the
see
one
1
with
and 3 and not
Christian
Terminator
Bale?
2? Anyway.
Yes, go ahead. And you, Samter?
Schwarzenegger, but Rocky makes it close.
Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day comes from earlier in the show. We had trouble with the Spanish language. The greatest individual rivalry of all time, mano a mano. What's the female equivalent of that?
Mana a mana?
No. Mono's a masculine word. So what's a body part that's feminine?
I can come up with a couple, but I probably shouldn't say them on the air.
You know, I'm sorry. I know it's hand to hand and mano a mano, but doesn't it sound very masculine?
Well, because the English word is man, but you have 2 monos.
I do have 2 manos, dos manos.
How about mesa a mesa?
That's table to table.
Yes.
I like it.
Unless it's Jose Mesa. They're squaring off mesa a mesa. And if it's, like a chess match, that would make sense too.
I think mesa a mesa is going to be our new thing.
Yeah, we really screwed this entire thing up, by the way, because several people tweeted me that mono is la mano. Have you guys gotten that on Twitter too?
Oh, no, I haven't looked.
Yeah, I took.
So it is a feminine, like la in front of it would mean it's a feminine.
Yeah. 5 years of Spanish. In high school.
I know. I feel bad about that. I loved taking Spanish when I was in high school, and I just didn't keep up with it. Bad job out of me.
It's una mano. Anyway.
I think mesa a mesa, though, is our new thing.
Yeah, but who's the other female that you're going up against? Are you taking on Brooke?
I don't think so. But if we're talking about Nancy Kerrigan against Tanya Harding, it's mesa y mesa. I think. Anyway.
By the way, and also,
yes.
I think some people have been saying mono e mono on the show at certain points. I noticed.
Isn't it mono e mono?
It's mono a mono.
Oh, mono a mono.
Which is hand to hand.
Are you saying some people like me?
I thought Samter did. I didn't realize you had been doing it too.
Mono e mono means hand and hand.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
That's a lot more sweet.
Yeah, that's not so much rivals, just more like best friends.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which is nice. Happy 46th birthday, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you in a Raiders uniform.
I'm right now Googling the plot of Terminator 3 to find out how
We'll save you some time.
watching this movie.
Schwarzenegger saves the world.
Stu goes, Rise of the Machines?
Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to our intern, Brooke. Thank you to Danny Kanell, who joined us earlier. The Weedos, the Purple Drinkers. We can't do the show without you. The callers as well. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Later.